Welcome back to Katawa Shoujo on Rin's route. Rin is standing in the middle of the Atelier, looking as if she was lost. She's not looking at anything I can see, not not doing anything, just standing there. She managed to dress up a little by herself. A strange thing. I thought that at least would have been impossible without hands. I get up and walk to her, patting her on the shoulder to get her attention. Hey! She flinches at the contact. I've never seen Rin flinch. Rin looks a bit panicky, a bit anxious, a bit defensive. It's as if she were a completely different person last night. Perhaps she was. My heart drops straight down to my stomach, full of liquid nitrogen cold. I'm sort of sorry. Why sorry? It wasn't very tactful of me, last night. But isn't that sort of thing something you want? Because you like me? So blunt. I'm completely baffled by Rin's approach to this. No, even if it was, I think I'd prefer for things to go properly. Like? What do you mean by properly? What is properly? Rin cocks her head, looking like she has no idea what I'm talking about. She still has this guarded feel about her, but nothing biles any real emotion. So you don't want to do that sort of thing? Rin, for goodness sakes. I didn't say that. So you do. I didn't say that either. Listen, it doesn't even matter. I just don't think it was the best thing I could have done in that situation. And I tried to apologize. I wonder for whose benefit I'm trying to come clear with these feelings. I don't even know why I'm feeling so terribly guilty. Maybe... I don't think it was a very good idea either. Probably. It's like you said, we're not like that. We are friends. It was a bad idea. Maybe you should forget about it and I will too. I'm really good at forgetting things, so it should be alright with me. I can't do that! Why? Because I like you, that's why! I told you that we shouldn't talk about that. I don't agree. Besides, you brought it up yourself before. I hold my hand up and pinch the bridge of my nose in frustration. I have no idea how to get Rin to understand. I hate that Rin can't clearly tell what she feels about anything. I hate that she's sending these confusing signals, as if she expected me to read her mind. Do you hate me? She actually thinks about this for some time. I don't hate anything. I don't think I'm a hateful person. Then what am I to you? Help me understand. I try to sound as reasonable as I can, but I don't know if it will help. Rationally thinking is the only way to get her to understand my point of view. Problem is, rationality never was a thing for Rin. It doesn't restrict her like it restricts me. It's not her driving force. It doesn't make her behave like a normal person, sorry. I can't. The same answer. I feel so powerless. I feel frustrated. Why? I don't think you... I don't think you'd understand. I'm not sure if I do. Righty-hoo. Then you, lady, or personnel, need to explain yourself. Fine, then explain to me. I can't. The same old stupid pattern emerges again. Me asking her questions to which she replies with answers that don't answer anything, because it's the only way we can converse. Apart from me listening to her babbling about whatever, which isn't really a conversation. Is this a play? Are there some unseen roles that we have unknowingly set ourselves into, dictating the rules of engagement whenever we see each other, inevitably leading us to hurting each other? Her non-Holland answers accompanied by even more non-Holland shrugs leave me none the wiser. I hate it. So, I don't know what to say to myself. I want to be angry. I am angry, but I also feel so powerless. Would anything I say matter at all? It's fine if you want to turn me down, but at least do it properly. And if you do, then last night was definitely a mistake. In fact, this whole thing might have been a mistake. I don't want to turn you down. So you can't decide. But why are you playing with me like this then? Hug, then ignore. Kiss, then ignore me. Play me like a fiddle, is that it? Kiss me, then forget again? My voice has sounded very angry again, even to myself. Rin too finally catches the mood and her curious expression changes instantly to something more uncharacteristic. No, she leaves it at that. Her eyes restlessly wandering around, searching the room as if for words she tries to find were written in the painting she herself has wrought. Then what? I need to paint, so paint. My vision is filtering through a blood-red lens of unbridled anger. Don't give me that, Rin. I am not some dumb muse of yours, free to be abused for the sake of painting. I'm not some medium for whatever you aspire to. I am me. There is a limit to selfishness. Rin looks down at her toes and wiggles them a little melancholically, while she takes in my outburst without saying anything to defend herself. Only after I have finished does she try to respond somehow. I can't do anything else, or I can do all sorts of things, but I can't do... It's the only thing I sort of do properly, most of the time. Yeah, that much I figured out by myself, thanks. Art first, everything else second, or thousandth. Ever pause to consider things from a perspective other than yours? I snarl the words from between my teeth. They taste like poison anyway. Rin is positively alarmed by now, so at least she's not completely dense, but it seems that she just doesn't understand what I'm angry about. I can't believe even she could be so stupid. I didn't want to... This time it's Rin who interrupts herself in mid-sentence. Don't you understand? I can't. Can't what? She doesn't get a word out of her mouth. You never explain yourself. How am I supposed to understand anything if you never say anything? Why do you... Whoa, that's bad. Say something, but she doesn't. Venting my anger her feels satisfying, and being satisfied by it feels terrible, but I can't stop myself. I try to discern some hints of her reaction through my adrenaline-distorted vision. My feedback was not the best kind, but I hope Rin got the clue that she just can't ignore everything else whenever she feels like it. I'd hate it if she didn't. She never ever listens to anything. She's so unaffected by the world around her. Not this time, it seems. Her body is shaking like from holding back tears, but I already know that Rin is not crying. I thought this was going to be the case. Go away, Hisao. I'm sorry, I can't deal with this. Her voice is tiny and tired as she says this, but I hear the words clear as day. The blunt, hollow remark is a fitting conclusion to this unpleasant discussion that became an even more unpleasant and very one-sided yelling match. I leave the atelier feeling angry and guilty. I never believed it would end up like this. I'm not like this. Rin is not like this. No matter how infuriating, unbearable and outrageous Rin is, this is not like her. She really did change. Or was it me who changed? Or maybe both of you changed. Maybe I only thought I knew her. Or maybe I knew that she isn't. Or was it me who caused all this by talking Rin into taking chances with the exhibition? Am I directly responsible for Rin becoming like she has been for the past few weeks? I can't think of any explanation for her weird behaviour, other than the exhibition and all the things that came along with it. Maybe it was the only way that could have brought us closer, but all it did was separate us further away from each other and now beyond the reach of either of us. So what you're saying is, this is not a good outcome. Darkness covers the gardens of Yamaku High School, enveloping the small dormitory rooms in the blanket of the night. In one of those rooms I lie on my bed, tired. So very tired. I give up. I can't lie to myself that everything is alright, that everything will work out. That's not how things would go. Glance at my watch, I see that it's 3:30 AM. I slide my finger over the glass surface of the watch's face. It's been pretty dependable ever since I decided to start wearing it. Always knowing what's going on even when I didn't. I turn my head and see the neatly arranged assortment of medicine on my night table. They are dependable too, things I'm going to depend on for the rest of my life. I think of the limited days ahead of me, the infinite vastness of time that opens up in front of others, the time I wasted chasing things out of my reach, time I'll never get back. I take up my watch and lay it down on the table. That's probably for the best. Oh, there's a skip. Oh! We got to a set of credits already. Oh, we've already got to a set of credits. That was with the Kenji bad route. Or any route with Kenji's is probably a bad route. But that definitely is something in its own ways. Like, just that whole scenario just ended very southly. Very south. It just was not a great ending. You could also call it a bad ending if you were, throughout that entire scenario. Like, just... Rin doesn't converse very well with other people. She's very forgetful. She always not blames herself, but somehow blames herself, but also blames, like, those around her. Like, she's a very... not dense, not thick. She's oblivious to the world around her and the fact that you can't really just shell yourself away because you don't like doing something. And it's very apparent throughout the entirety of playing with this route that Rin's that sort of person who doesn't really like stuff. Okay, so there's no kind of like ending title there, but nonetheless we'll progress forward. Okay, I need to understand. I need to understand why. I'm not going to give up, you know. Rin's shoulders slump and she frowns. I know. I do want to be there for you, but I can't do that unless I know how. Just let me do this thing the way I want. That's all. Fine, I don't care. You wanted to change. You want to destroy yourself. You want this exhibition more than anything, right? Yes. Okay, then do it. She doesn't respond or even show acknowledgement of understanding. I'm grinding my teeth together, frustrated beyond anything I thought possible. I want to grab Rin's shoulder and shake her until she comes to her senses. I look at her, and in that moment I know with crystal clear certainty that there is nothing I can do for Rin. None of the words I know would reach her, but still. I think that, for whatever reason, you think it's important that you go this way all the way to the end, even if it's not healthy for you on many different levels. But I have nothing to do with it. I can't accept being treated like this, and not understand the reasons for it. I'm finished here. The full weight of what I said sinks in the silence distance between us. Rin doesn't show any reaction, nor even blink her eyes. She just stares at or through me quietly. That's fine. Her voice is perfectly calm. Emotions like an announcement that the 7:30 train will be 7 minutes late. With those words, Rin made her choice, and I made mine. If either of us secretly wants to change our mind, it's too late for that. Sounds like another bad end. I take a long look at Rin, hoping that it conveys my feelings. Without knowing whether it does or not, I leave the atelier for the last time, feeling empty and anxious like so many times before. And another scene. Okay. Looking. Oh, dream? Okay, so that wasn't a bad end of sorts, but it did feel quite bad because it was like the separation of these two characters. I make it in time for class, though not in time for breakfast. The classroom is bathing in the gentle light of the sun. You call the summer heat gentle? This means it's going to be intolerably hot in the afternoon. For now, though, it's pleasant. I look at Mr. and Shizune's animated discussions about whatever. Hinako staring out of the classroom window. Muto stumbling into the classroom 4 minutes late and with no recollection of what he's supposed to be teaching today. I could have never dropped him out of school just like that, even if it's only for a few weeks. On the other hand, Rin doesn't seem to have a problem with the idea or going through with it. Then again, somehow I got caught along in her insane isolation, even if we ended up hurting each other. Or did we? Maybe I only got hurt. Yeah, Rin doesn't seem to express her opinions very well. It takes me until late in the afternoon to realise that today is Monday. The art club meets today. Not just that, due to exams, this will be the last art club meeting before summer vacation. Without Rin, it feels pretty pointless to go there, but I want to talk with the teacher. The meeting itself isn't noteworthy, just as my skills with watercolours are not worth mentioning. Just like my channel in comparison to other channels that cover similar content, Namaya tries to encourage and advise me without sounding too condescending, but he's not doing a very good job. If nothing else, joining the art club has taught me that I like art. It would be nice if I could actually try and make some art in the art club though. After the fruits of everyone's labour has been piled into a neat stack on the teacher's desk, he clears his throat to give a little speech. That's it for this trimester, everyone. His voice is pretty loud and way too enthusiastic for it to be genuine. The next meeting is after summer vacations, on the Monday of the first week of a new term. Next term. I hope to see everyone there again. Have a nice vacation. Everyone wishes him a nice vacation back as they file out of the door. I stay behind, waiting until the two of us are alone. It's almost dinner time, so I don't have to wait long. Namaya's looking through the paintings, some of which are actually pretty nice. Rin might outclass everyone else in the art club, but she isn't the only one with talent. Exactly. Excuse me, teacher. What is it, Nakai? He raised his eyebrows questioningly, smiling widely. It's about Rin. Oh, is something wrong with Tezuka? No, but... I hesitate for a split second. I'm not certain how to say what I want to say, giving Namaya enough time to start babbling by himself. I saw her a few days ago when I was passing by at Say's gallery. She said she'd get 1 or 2 more paintings done for the exhibition. I was quite pleased. She's a surprisingly hard worker. I always thought she was a bit lazy, doing what she wants instead of the assignment. He seems to notice my anxiety and realizes he is digressing, shutting up before finishing before. Ah, but you had something to talk about. What is it? I don't know. She feels detached from everything, as if she can't think of anything but the exhibition. Well, isn't that good? She's focusing on her painting, as she should be. This is clear abandonment of everything else in the world. Yeah, but this is different. It's like she's obsessed. I went to see her and... Have you been bothering her? He cuts in before I finish saying what I mean to say, instantly looking quite irritated. No, I don't think so. I'm just concerned because she stopped coming to school completely. She feels strange, too. Stranger than usual at the very least. Humbug. This is much more important for her than some lousy math or class of physics or whatever. This is exactly why this school is so flexible, to give every student a chance to fulfill themselves. Tezuka is a painter, so she should paint, no? And have an exhibition. That's what artists do. She should be allowed to concentrate on that, not these other frivolous classes. She should be encouraged. If you think about it, it's really quite obvious. His counter-arguments are not very convincing, but I'm having a hard time trying to make any kind of rebuttal. My grudging silence is interpreted as assent, and Nomaya turns to shuffle the stack of turned-in assignments on his desk like a deck of cards. I have to say, while we're talking about Tezuka's exhibition, I'm very excited to see how it turns out. She's still so young, yet has such wonderful skill and style. Talent. He's talking to Pierre to relax the mood that got a bit too negative. I take it that you will be attending? Yeah, I guess so. Well, we'll meet there next. I take it as my cue to leave, and I do, although I'm not very happy about it. My message didn't get through, to say the least. He's the wrong person to talk about it to, considering Rin, Namaya and Sei are both very passionate about art, so it's like the only thing that they can focus on. And don't you dare call math classes lousy or anything like that. They're all very important. The day after that, all the missed opportunities and things I should have said come crashing down on me. There's nothing left to do afterwards but brood. Great. I reached grayed out. Second day, I begin to feel anxious. I start doubting my doubt, and it feels stupid, especially since I still can't think of anything else than Rin. Switch off. Third day, Japanese exam and world history exam. Great. The thing I hate most about her is that she can make me feel this awful even though I should be focused on entirely different stuff right now. Stop focusing on our personnel when things like this are important. Fourth day, math exam. We have a math exam. It goes how it goes. God damn it, man. So some people try really hard at these exams and they don't get the results that they deserve. But then there are people who barely put any effort in and succeed. Fifth day, Namaya asked me again if I want to attend the exhibition opening, so I can't say no to him, even though I seriously want to. I just don't want to discuss with him anything Rin related, so it's just better to take the path of less resistance. On the sixth day, the day before the exhibition opening, I find Rin standing in the hallway in front of my room when I return to the dorms after dinner. What are you doing here? My tone is angrier than I intended. I'm a little disappointed I was unable to restrain myself, but it can't be helped. Rin just stands there, like she just happened to coincidentally be standing around here where she has no business being. The way she reacts so coolly to everything annoys me now. This is not good. It's been 6 days, and the sight of her has me boiling. She hasn't even opened her mouth yet. Finished painting. Shouldn't you be at the gallery, preparing? They said no. I guess the gallery owner does that part then, getting the paintings framed, hung on the walls and whatnot. So why are you here? Felt like it. Okay. The same old stupid pattern emerges again. Me asking her questions to which she replies with answers that doesn't answer anything, because it's the only other way we can converse. Apart from me listening to her blabbering about whatever, which isn't really a conversation. Is this a play? Are there some unseen roles that we have unknowingly set ourselves into, dictating the rules of engagement whenever we see each other, inevitably leading to us hurting each other again? Her non-Holland answers, accompanied by even more non-Holland shrugs, leave me none the wiser. I guess I should be happy that the exhibition preparations are complete. When I walk into my room, I hear her footsteps following me. I didn't invite her in. I won't ask her to leave. She claims my bed without asking permission, making me wish I had taken the time to make it before I left this in the morning. Then stands up again as though she sat on hot coals. I half lean against the single corner of my desktop that isn't cluttered with stuff, to rest my legs at least a little bit. Rin spends a few moments glancing curiously around my room. It makes me realise that she's never seen it before. For a moment she actually looks like she's concentrating, trying to get everything. This must be the eye for detail that makes her an artist. Since the room is small, she quickly ran out of things to look at, but nothing else transpires, allowing the uncomfortable silence to take over the atmosphere. The mood is chilly to say the least, and both of us are on guard, waiting for the other to make the first move. Of course, Rin could play this game forever, so it has to be me. So I give up because she never tried to open conversation, and because it seems that she wants to say something and I want to get it over with. Why else would she be here if she didn't want to talk? I don't know what to say to myself. I want to be angry, but I can't bring myself to yell at her or anything. My voice catches her attention as she tries to search for words as well, but it seems that she is not entirely certain as to why she's here either. And so Rin takes a few steps to close the distance between us and rises on the tip of her toes to even out the height difference. It was a bad idea. Maybe you should forget about it, and I will too. It's a reflex, and almost as an afterthought, the words no, yes, and maybe simultaneously surface inside my mind. A wall that I raised to guard against something. Her breath feels warm against my fingers. The scent of her skin lingers about. The mysterious, indescribable sensation that captures me and draws my eyes deep into hers. The look in her eyes is surprise, quizzical as to why the impermanent hand prevented her advances. Her eyes are really big and glistening with moisture, and staring right into my own with a soft gaze I'm having a hard time to match. Rin's half mouth open makes her look even more confused, although the essential way her lips are arching is signaling something completely different. Please. I need you. This is a surprise. The words come from her throat as a coarse whisper meant only for me, bypassing the tongue and teeth without giving them any chance to interpret. They sobered me in an instant, and I clumsily flinched back to get a little bit of distance between us, painfully scraping against my desk in the process. Maybe it's her choice of words, maybe the way she says it, but something in it puts me off. In a way, yes, like, Rin's going to forget about what she said tomorrow. Something is wrong. Something is terribly wrong again. Need me for what? All the unpleasant feelings emerge again, and I feel my heartbeat suddenly increasing at least tenfold. Rin's eyes go out of focus and back again as her body relaxes from its tense state, and she stands upright again. I don't think I was thinking about anything. Why do you draw patterns in that dust on your night table? There is a word for that kind of thing, but I can't remember. Her remark almost throws me off track, and I glance over her shoulder at the small table next to my bed, but I can't see anything from this distance. So she needs me for nothing specific? Just happened to come by because she thought I'd be glad to see after she shut me out, no complaints accepted for a week? Completely altruistic motives? Felt like it. BS, I can answer myself. To play mind games with whatever you want, to kiss whenever you want, to ignore whenever you want, to fulfill your whims whenever you want. Is that it? What you need me for? My voice is sounding very angry again, even to myself. Good. Rin too finally catches the mood and her curious expression changes instantly to something more uncharacteristic. No. She leaves it at that, her eyes restlessly wandering around, searching the room as if the words she tries to find were written in the tapestries on my walls. Then what? I need to paint. It's like last time. Paint. Of course, that's what artists do. The words reverberate through my being, beating my blood over the piercing whistle of my anger. Don't give me that, Rin. I'm not some damn news of yours, free to play with for the sake of painting. I'm not some medium for whatever you inspire to. I am me. So what if I don't know anything about my future? There's things I want, and things I care about, even I can dream of things other than nightmares. I'm yelling, but I'm way past the point of caring about things like that. Rin looks down at her toes and wiggles them a little melancholically. It's the same, but it's kind of different in a way. Melancholy while she takes in my outburst without saying anything to defend herself. Only after I finish does she try to respond somehow. I can't do anything else. I can do all sorts of things, but I can't do... It's the only thing I sort of do properly most of the time. I understand completely. Art first, everything else second or thousandth. What about me? Am I nothing? When I was interested in art, did it make you feel like I was a little interesting for a little while? Tell me. I really want to know. Did you ever think about my perspective? Or is it just all you? The words rise like bile in my throat. She looks alarmed, and also completely uncomprehending, as if she doesn't understand what I'm angry about. I can't believe she could be so stupid. I didn't want to... This time it's Rin who interrupts herself in mid-sentence. Don't you understand? I can't. Can't what? You never explain. How am I supposed to understand anything if you never say anything? What? Why don't you ever talk? That's, in a way, going over the line a little bit there. Telling someone to not talk is very mean. It's like as if their words mean nothing. But Rin, in a way, struggles with social contact and finding the right words to be able to fit her emotions and feelings. It's a very odd ball of puzzles which don't necessarily match with the place in which you want to put that bit of a puzzle into. But with Rin, it's like you need to be able to understand that the puzzle itself needs to be put in a different way. Say something, but she doesn't. Venting my anger her feels satisfying. It feels wrong to take so much satisfaction in it, but I can't stop. Not wanting to face my anger head on, Rin turns around to steadfastly look out of my window even though there is nothing to look at. The worst of my ire gone, I shut up as I can't be bothered to keep on yelling at the back of her head, so silence finally returns. I try to discern some hints of her reactions with my adrenaline-distorted vision. My feedback was not the best kind, but I hope Rin got the clue that she just can't ignore everything else whenever she feels like it. I hate it if she didn't. She never even listens to anything. She's so unaffected by the world around her. Not this time, it seems. Her body is shaking like from holding back tears, but I already know that Rin is not crying. Her indifference makes me so furious. Now that it's gone, I'm at a loss. I wonder, did I go too far? Look, You're telling me to go away even though you're in my room. Go away, Hisao. Her voice is tiny and tired as she says this, but I hear the words clear as day. What is there to say any more? This is my room. The blunt whole remark is a fitting conclusion for this unpleasant discussion that became an even more unpleasant and very one-sided yelling match. After a moment recollecting herself, Rin just gives up. I can see it from the way she slumps her shoulders and walks out. Even though she deliberately looks to the other direction, I can see how she's biting the corner of her lips so hard it might start bleeding if she won't stop. As she makes her exit, I realise that she left the door open when she came in, and my yelling must have echoed around the dorm hallways. I sigh. Now that she's gone, I'm left alone with my guilt. As the thumping in my chest slowly subdues, anxiety replaces it. Somehow I feel that none of this would have happened if not for me. No matter how infuriating, unbearable and outrageous Rin is, she is not the Rin I thought I knew. Rin that I expected Rin to be. That's what happens when you place somebody on a pedestal and they don't meet up to your expectations. You will be disappointed by them because they are not on your pedestal. And you should never do that with a person. Was it me who caused all this by talking Rin into taking her chances with the exhibition? Am I directly responsible for Rin becoming like she has been for the past weeks? I can't think of any other explanation for her weird behaviour other than the exhibition and all the things that came along with it. Maybe it was the only way that could have brought us closer, but all it did was separate us further away from each other, and now beyond the reach of either of us. I bang my head hard against the wall, twice to make sure it hurts. What has the wall done to you, man? What has the wall done to you? I'm sure many walls have been bashed at some point in their lives out of human frustration. A headache is restlessly thumping against the back of my head as I push open the door to the 22nd corner. Apart from that, I'm perfectly calm. I'm very calm. After venting on Rin all that anger I had bottled inside, it felt like a great weight has been lifted from my heart. The tension that had grasped my mind for the past few weeks fades away without even leaving even a shadow behind. In this nearly zen-like state of enlightenment, I realised perhaps it was a bad idea to yell at her like that. Yes and no. Leaving the door open was definitely bad. I really meant it, but what good does blowing up like that do? Nothing. I'm not like that. I don't normally yell at people. I don't know why I did yesterday, so I keep feeling really guilty about it and wants to take my words back. Rina's probably upset too, even more than my behaviour. Her reaction shocked me. I always thought of her as unchanging, detached from her surroundings, so that seeing my yelling get her so upset felt out of place. I wonder if she understands how I feel. In Rin's world, everything seems to be so absolute and subjective. Absolutely subjective, as if she was completely unable to see things from other points of view than her own. But ultimately, is anyone able to do it? Maybe objectively and altruism are just illusions for people who like to think of themselves as compassionate. You know, in the past, I've always wanted to take up drawing and one day become an artist, but seeking help from already big artists back in the day of the early 10s, 2010s, it made me realize that people just don't like it when people ask them for advice and stuff like that, because it feels like then that the competition would get harder, so that then they would make less money, so ultimately they would ignore you, and that's what happened to me. And I told myself I didn't want to become that kind of person if I ever got good at art, so I ultimately dropped it, because people just ignore you for the sake of money. When not saying all artists like this, but there are some artists that just don't know how to have a conversation. They're like, conversations? That won't put bread on the table. Stuff like that. Just like art is an illusion for people who think reality is merely a veil for something greater. Even when you stop thinking that the world revolves around you, or start thinking outside of a mythical box, you are just inside another bigger box and you can't escape. Maybe that ultimately makes her like the rest of us. And here we go. I stepped through the door to find a gallery full of illusioned people? Despite Say's remarks during my earlier visits, I always thought it was very spacious, but now when it's crowded like this, it's positively cramped. I immediately noticed Say standing in the middle of a lively discussion, busily chatting with some older gentlemen. She's actually pretty tall and kind of cool looking, so she stands out in the crowd. There are a few dozen wine glasses laid on the tables along the back wall, filled with burgundy liquid. A vast majority of the guests are sipping on their own glasses. The socialities and art connoisseurs are mingling happily, exchanging mild opinions about Rin's art Rin's art, which seems to be a secondary object of interest for most. I feel distance, excluded from the other people here. I can't claim even at a stretch to be a social comedian, so the situation is quite unnerving. Since I don't blend into the crowd at all, I just fake what I do, trying to look as cool and smooth as I can. I wonder if Rin is handling all this. If it was me, I'd be quite freaked out. But no, not Rin, she is oblivious by all of this. Throw the anxiety aside, I try to carefully navigate through the crowd, stealing peeks at the framed paintings now hanging on the walls. Rin's exhibition takes about half of the gallery's wall space. Some paintings are less familiar than others, but I recognise most of them. Some I've seen being created at the club meetings after all, or remember from the time when Rin was choosing her portfolio. I note that a couple of the unfinished paintings are on the wall as well. Maybe that's what they call coincidental art. Even Rin's failures, if you can call them that, become exhibits of her skill, quite paradoxical. She herself is nowhere to be seen, which is strange because even though it's crowded, the gallery is pretty small. It's fine, sort of. I don't know how to face her after yesterday, maybe I shouldn't even come. But I promised various people, Rin included, that I would. So, damn, it sounds like I do things because I do because some kind of instinctual properness compels me to, not because it would be sensible or not. I sneak close to Say to wait for a lull in the conversation so I can chat her up too. Not the correct words. Even though her voice is almost completely buried under the general background noise, I feel bits and pieces of her talking about Rin. Yes, she is a high school at a local school. Even though she's graduating next year, I'm sure various art schools will be interested in. I thought it would be interesting to have an exhibition of someone who is still in early stage of development. Indeed it is. It's so strange. It's like Rin is some kind of mini celebrity even though this is nothing but a small exhibition opening at a small art gallery of a small town. In fact, there is a friend of mine from... Oh, it's Hisao. My eavesdropping is interrupted by a familiar voice and a familiar slap to the back. I don't need to guess the source of either, even without turning around. Nomaya! Oh, Emmy! Okay. Hi! Are you like a representative of the art club or something? I don't see anyone else from the school here. I don't know, really. I guess I am if that's the case. What about you? What about me? Yeah, you come here to see your friend's exhibition. You didn't think I'm interested in art? Is that it, Hisao? No, that's not what I... Well, maybe a little if you put it that way. I mean, even though you hang out with Rin, I've never heard you talk about art with her, so... Emmy huffs and looks around her, looking discontented. It's true, I don't get it at all. But she came back to my track meet, so I thought it's only fair to return the favour. She leans closer, trying to look confidential, but only managing to look conspiring. Do you get art? No, I don't. At all. My emphasizing headshake draws a giggle and a cheery headshake from her own out of Emmy. Me neither. Hey, let's go talk with Rin. I bet you haven't yet, because I haven't either. Come on. Before she has a chance to forcefully drag me to Rin, Nomaya appears behind her with Rin in his tow. She's not dressed for the occasion, instead opting for the usual school uniform and unkempt hair. Maybe her natural look is what suits her the best. Hello, teacher. Hi, Rin. Unfazed, Emmy greets the teacher cheerfully, causing him to turn around and look down confusedly. Who are you? I'm Emmy from school, class 3-4, don't you remember? She looks positively shocked at the prospect that there could be a person who doesn't know her. Oh, sorry, you're in the same class as Tezuki, right? Is right, yeah. You'll have to pardon me, I have trouble remembering students who don't take art. Don't mind. Hey, Rin. Hello. Congratulations for your super cool art thing. I'm sure you'll be a big hit. She throws her arms into the air for boisterous emphasis, almost hitting me in the face. And look, Hisao came too. This is not the best time for that, Emmy. Rin doesn't look at me, nor does she greet me. Congratulations, Rin. She keeps averting her gaze, pointedly looking at her sandals. oblivious to the tension between us and ignorant of what happened yesterday, Emmy keeps on blabbering about this and that to an unresponsive Rin. I guess she's used to not getting much out of her at times. Before long, Namaya and Sei turn to Rin, introducing her. Expecting it, I catch the second of confusion when the guests see her arms. Sei is luckily on the ball and briefly explains about our school. Doubtful faces quickly change to curious. Would you mind telling us something about your art? I thought the development is quite easily noticeable. What do you yourself think of the differences between the older and more current works? It's quite rare for someone so young to dabble into abstraction. It would have been interesting to see how you work. Oh, definitely. I assume you use your feet? Must have been great trouble to learn it. You should be proud. Will you be pursuing a career as an artist after school? She is bombarded with so many questions she can't even hope to answer all of them. Maybe that's for the best. Rin tends to talk nonsense more than occasionally. So where'd you get your ideas? That's the fifth worst. Rin keeps stumbling with her words, looking more and more vexed by the expected inquiries. Everyone is waiting for her to say something, but she looks like a cat caught a ton. Each question piling up just adds to her distress. I fail to hear the question, but it's just proverbial one too many. It's like a motor stalling. Oh gosh. Rin just freezes for a long lost second until she falls on her knees, hitting the floor ungraciously like a sack of potatoes. That is indeed a very, very, very sorry sight to see. Poor Rin. Are you alright? I don't know. Tezuka, what's wrong, girl? I don't know what's wrong. A terrible silence falls upon the people gathered around Rin. Everyone is petrified, not knowing how to react to her sudden seizure or something. She breathes with deep, trembling gasps as if she was running out of air, staring ahead of herself with hollow eyes. Seeing that nobody does anything, I force myself to step to Rin and lift her up from the floor, letting her lean against me to keep standing. Would you like some fresh air? Okay, let's go outside for a bit. I don't even wait for her to answer before grasping her shoulder and pulling her past the stunned-looking Namaya, Sei, Emmy, and guests. Excuse us. The cool evening breeze hits my face at the door. I let go of her and she leans against the stone wall, trying to catch her breath. Are you alright? I couldn't say anything. Rin is still not looking at me, so I look away too. The streetlights and coloured neon signs twist my vision into a blur of near blindness, forcing me to look back. At least she talks, even if she's not directing her words to me. What do you want to say? Maybe both of us can imagine that we are talking to an invisible friend. I don't know. Something that would have meant something. The silence lasts for a long time. I don't feel comfortable being alone with Rin. I'm not good at imagining things that don't exist, do, or that things that exist don't. We should go back in. The guests say invited her in there, but people want to meet you and talk with you. You know, ask you questions and stuff about those paints you worked so hard for. I don't want them to ask me questions like that. I can never say the right things. You say what's within your heart, not what you think is robotically the right thing. What do you want then? But if you found someone like that, then what? But aren't you happy people are interested in your paintings? Progress saved successfully. But aren't you happy people are interested in your paintings? I mean, isn't that why you went ahead and having an exhibition at all? Of course they would ask you questions, if they think it's interesting. It's like having sunrise twice in a row when you want to bathe naked in moonlight. That doesn't even make any sense to do. Nice, but it's not good enough. I complete the sentence for her even though I don't understand her inappropriate metaphor. I don't get it. You should try to be happier. It's your big night after all. All those people are here to see your paintings. I think it's awesome. I'll wait for her to say something. Either for or against, but Rin keeps brooding. She doesn't want to answer questions or explain to me what's wrong. If she had something to say, the words are left unspoken. The words that she cannot say. I shudder against the chill wind that blows in the streets, and its howling fills with silence. We should go back in. You got everyone worried. Ah, there you are. Feeling better? It can get pretty hot in here. A digital spell can catch you off guard. He laughs bashfully and almost obnoxiously. You should drink something if you're feeling weak, Tezuka. Rin nods weakly, but it seems to be enough to convince Nomaya that she is fine. He pushes Rin a bit forward to introduce her to the person who he was conversing with before. So, about what we were talking about. Ah yes, I'm very excited to meet... I am shut out of the conversation. The background noise of dozens of other discussions fills my ears with indistinct buzz. Even Emmy has disappeared somewhere, standing in the middle of a crowd, and is a surprisingly lonely feeling. Not only Rin, but everyone else seems to be a part of something I am not a part of. I'm happy for her, I really am, but it makes me feel that I haven't accomplished anything yet. Rin is living proof of the potential of a human being. She overcame her disability, even made it a strength. She should be happy. What is my potential? Rin made it this far, but how far can I go? Okay, that's the end of the night. I don't know why I was expecting credits to fall like that, but who knows where this could go as well. The last day before summer vacations is waning slowly. Science is the final exam of the trimester, and then we are free. The collective yearning for liberty is almost palpable in the classroom, even though the weather seems a tad cloudy. It might rain today, who knows? I've already finished the test because it was pretty easy. So I'm doodling lazily on the flip side of the paper, waiting for Muto to call time. It also prevents Misha from trying to covertly look at my answers over my shoulder. She might fool the inattentive teacher, but I can tell that she is trying to look. I guess it's her best bet at passing the test. Doesn't make me feel any mercy though, so I just ignore her and look around me. It's quiet. The only sounds in the classroom are the quiet shuffling of papers and Muto's constant coughing. It makes my awareness of the surroundings slowly drift to the backstage of consciousness, giving room to other things. Vacation, huh? Some people will stay at the school even over the holidays. Some will go back to their families. I probably should make the trip back home and report to my parents that I'm alive and well. Not much to do at the school anyway, I suppose. Next trimester will be stressful. Everyone will have to seriously start thinking about what to do after graduation, including me. Great. All these doodles! I look at my doodles, convince me to stop trying to salvage them. It's a mass of lifeless lines, a waste of paper if it wasn't the flip side of my exam. Maybe it's because I don't really set out to draw anything in particular. I just want to kill some time, so the drawing became exactly like I am, without a direction to go. It'd be easier if I had some special talent like Rin. She has it. I don't think so. It makes me kind of jealous. It peeves me off that she herself can't seem to be happy about it. And time. Music call for the end of the exam draws groans of displeasure from half the class. I don't blame them. The exam was kind of tricky. Muto expects a lot from our class, even though he's not strict at all. I guess he'd like all of us to become scientists. Put down your pencil, turn in your papers, please. The biggest groan comes from the desk to my side. Misha's despair is almost tangible. The dark aura of lost hope emanating from her seat makes me simultaneously frightened of and sympathetic to her. Now then, there should be homeroom before you are free, but I only have a few announcements to make, so this should be over quickly. His announcements are never important, so I listen to him only with one ear. Misha seems to be too down in the dumps to even pretend attentiveness. She slumps her head against the desk looking stricken. Cheer up, Misha. It's vacation. Don't worry about the test. Thanks, Hai-chan. Her frown becomes a small smile and a sparkle of excitement lights in her eyes. What are you going to do over your summer vacation, Hai-chan? I'm going to Sai-chan's place. They have this awesome and super cool mansion. I'm so excited. I'm sure it'll be the best summer vacation ever. The bestest, I mean. She seems to have forgotten about all of her misery in a few seconds and bounced up and down on her seat as if to pump up her excitement. I don't really have any plans, I guess. Is that so? Maybe you should... A finger tapping her shoulder steals Misha's attention away from me. Shizney points to Muto, is expectantly looking back at the two of them. Oops, sorry, Sai-chan. I didn't notice teacher finished already. She clears her throat and takes a deep breath. Stand! I stand up with everyone. Since I came here, I've always wondered about something. What do the wheelchair-bound students think about this daily tradition, being unable to do it properly? It is a flux pass to keep to this tradition in a place that bypasses many others for convenience. Even though I never asked anyone, during these short weeks here I've come to the conclusion that they definitely are not insulted. They understand. That's what I like about the school. Nobody's too uptight about anything. Everyone else is so considerate and understanding of each other. I wish the whole world could be like this. Boo! Boo what? I turn the page slowly, listening to the rustling sound the paper makes when my fingers grasp it. I'm restless. It's the summer vacation. No class, no homework, no art club meetings. Just free time to spend however I want. It doesn't feel like anything. I try to cheer up Misha, but I'm not feeling too cheery myself. To be honest, the free time is intimidating. It reminds me of the hospital in the long, meaningless days that had to be filled somehow. The only difference is that I was bound to the ward guarded by the Cerberus-like nurses. Reading was a good solution back then, but the thought of spending my summer vacation reading books feels naggy. This has nothing to do with the fact that I'm reading even now. I'm just killing time trying to fight my anxiety. Besides, my mind is on other matters, stretching in too many directions to make sense of any of them. Thus, the book I've been on since Tuesday is progressing slowly. It feels like this book is taking me longer to read than it took the author to write. I try to put it down for a while, then read some again, start all over from the beginning, read each page twice. Nothing works. I have zero concentration. Taking it with me just in case I head out to get some fresh air and inspiration as to what to do. I made my way to the quad, passing by students heading for the gates. The hastiest ones are leaving for their homes already, judging from the luggage some are dragging with them. I guess that no matter how hospital Yamako is, home is still home. Still, I heard some people will be staying here over vacation. The quad is big enough for its centre to be shadowless no matter how high or low the sun is. I stop in the middle and bask in the warmth. The brightness makes me squint my eyes when I look towards the main building. It looks all but abandoned already. Yuko wasn't at work today, so the next time I can get books from the school library is after vacation. There is a public library somewhere, I'm sure, but I feel too lethargic to find out where it is. Come on now! That's no good of you. The hall is equally dead, so I have to content myself with returning to the dorms, ending my leisurely walk sooner than I expected. Then again, I wasn't quite sure what I was expecting in the first place. On a moment's impulse, I enter the girls' dorm to see if Rin or Emmy are there. Neither is, so I go back to my room to dwell on my lethargy. I should talk things through with Rin. Like what? She really bothers me. Defying the conceptual equivalent of gravity, she battles on the thin line zigzagging between insanity, incomprehensibility, and instability. Rin affects me too. She challenges me in ways I didn't know, or more accurately, didn't hope existed. I've started to wonder whether these feelings are really love, or was I just fooling myself? Surely it would be insanity to consider that. For the rest of the day, Rin, the hospital, Yamako, and vacation swirl through my head. I can't concentrate even on concentrating. Thoughts seem to come and go haphazardly, fragmented into two small pieces of cognition. I pick up a book and manage to read 100 pages, but I'm sure by tomorrow I'll have a recollection of what happened in the story. I try to clean up my room, but even that proves to be too bothersome, too time-consuming, and requiring too much attention to detail. I don't know, just like reading. It's usually like this. When you have nothing to do, you have nothing even if you could. As expected, Mom calls me and end up promising to see if I can get a train ticket for tomorrow, or failing that, the day after. Maybe I'll go downtown tomorrow anyway. I could do some shopping or something. It's not that I need anything, but maybe there are summer sales, and I could pick up something? Why am I trying to force myself? But before I was content with having nothing to do, save for kicking a ball every now and then at the field. Now it seems like I can't settle down at all. Is it because I have changed, or because my world has changed? A lot of things have changed. By 11, the darkness bids me to sleep. And the pills are here. The medication bottles are innocuously arranged on my night table, not at all beckoning, rather pointedly reminding me of a reality instead. It's evening, so I have to open 3 bottles, extract 1 large oval-shaped one, 2 small round ones, and 1 large flat that has to be cut into half, close the bottles, and chug down the medications with a chaser of fresh tap water. The water tastes metallic on my tongue. I swallow along with the pills anyway and head to the bathroom. The mindless job of brushing my teeth is fit for trying to sort my thoughts. One emerges from mass, clearly rising above the others. I want to see Rin. I can't let my outburst of anger be the last thing between us before the vacation. May you be able to see where she is? I have to see her tomorrow. Sleep overcomes my confused mind with more ease than it should. There we go again. More confusion awaits, it would seem. More dabbling and dwindling. Rain is falling on my summer vacation like an uncountable number of small bad omens. Luckily I'm not superstitious, but the bad weather makes me downcast too. It's been like this since this morning. There's no end in sight. An impenetrable grey mass of clouds shadows the sky as much as it shadows my mood. In a bout of defiance, I finished clean up this morning, but after that was done, I ended up staring out the window in hope the weather was clearing. The incessant drumming of rainfall against the roof and the pavement is mesmerizing, a droning background noise to lose your mind into. This won't do. I have to get a move on. Should I pick now or later? I decide on the latter and make my way outside, pausing briefly at Kenji's door to listen to the odd, clunking sounds of the other side. I don't dare to knock, out of the fear of finding out what he is doing. Exactly. Brave the rain from under my trusty umbrella, I close the space of the girl's dorm. Knocking on Rin's door yields no answer, but the door behind me opens instead. Hello. Hi, Sal. Hi. Terrible weather. I even missed my morning jog. She frowns, but I would be glad if I was her. Emmy's morning jog's anything but leisurely. Oh, hi. If you're looking for Rin, I don't think she is there. Have you seen her recently? Yeah, just this morning when I woke up. The mention of waking up makes Emmy yawn like a cat, and makes me feel silly. Of course she has seen Rin. Emmy wakes her up and helps her get dressed on most mornings, even makes her lunch every now and then. They are like sisters, even though they seem to have nothing in common. I wonder which one is the elder sister. Probably Emmy against all odds. She's really diligent, even though she gives the feeling of someone who would be a total idiot. Why does it feel odd that she is so dutiful under that cheery grin of hers? She left for the gallery a few hours ago. Hey, are you listening? Maybe I'm making a funny face or something, since Emmy tilts her face quizzically, looking at me with her eyes round and inquisitive. Her innocent face seems to request my attention. Yeah, I'm listening. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, of course. She furrows her brow, licking her lips as if to prepare for something. Why do you care so much about Rin? That is indeed a good question. I mean, you probably hang around her more than I do, and we even slept in the same bed sometimes until lately. After she banned you because you ravished her hair? A shock of horror widens Emily's eyes at least twofold, making them seem even more saucer-like than usual, while a healthy blush raises on her cheeks and ears. She told? Oh, I'm going to strangle that Rin or something other horrible. I hold back my laughter, lest she direct her disdain at me. Emmy recuperates quickly from the embarrassment and seems to forgive Rin in the same instant, getting her focus back on me. Anyway, are you in love with her or something? Oh, this really feels like an elder sister questioning a suitor. Emmy's kind of nosy, and not in a good happy way, even if there is one to begin with exactly. She'd make a good partner for Misa, to be honest. The horror. That's already your second question, so I don't think I have the answer. I try to conjure up a front made of pure crystallized coolant and involvement. I wonder whether I could manage to fool myself even. At least Emmy is... Oh my gosh, that is a horrifying, smug face there. Like, honestly, that is such a horrifying, smug present to us from Emmy. It's like, you're in love with her, aren't you? Yes, you is. With a nasty smirk on her lips. Is that a yes? No, it's not a yes! Obviously unsatisfied with my refusal to answer her way too intimate questions, she has enough sense to back off. Doesn't stop her from sticking out her tongue at me like a kid and giggling again. If that's your answer, I don't think I have to talk to you anymore. It's easy to say, but she's not really angry. Besides, I have to go pack now. Mum will be worried if I miss my bus. See ya! Yeah, bye. She retreats back into her room, leaving me alone in the hallway. What's between me and Rin is not her business, right? That's why I end up not saying anything about our fight to Emmy. Rin must have not said anything either. I guess even though they are friends, there are things they don't talk about. So if Rin's at the gallery, I'd have to go all the way there. Now that I've managed to get out of my room, I suppose not that much of a bother to go downtown. I could go get a ticket, but the train back home will have to wait, at least till tomorrow. No, I'm going to carry baggage to a train station in this rain, even if there's not that much of it. And the rain is making this complicated. Rain makes all outlines seem very unstable, as if they were fading away. The townscape turns into a shapeless collection of various fuzzy tones of grey instead of distinct forms of buildings and cars. Those poor souls who are forced into the downpour try to make as much haste as they possibly can, pitting each other for their shared misery. I turn the final corner to the second corner, so to say, and immediately feel stupid for being amused by my own pun. Yeah, exactly. The door beckons me with promises of warmth. The rain water dripping from my umbrella makes interesting, almost artistic patterns on the floor. I'm not wet, apart from my shoes that leave small puddles in my wake, completing the rain water artwork. Namiya's here too, chatting with State at the back of the gallery. Rin's nowhere to be seen though. Maybe she's upstairs. There are no customers though, which figures, considering the bucket loads of water dropping on the neck of anyone daring to brave the weather today. Welcome. Hello, sorry to interrupt. Ah, good afternoon, Naki. Came all the way here for a visit. And I think it was just an impulse. I was around the neighbourhood, shopping, and decided to stop by. My reflexive reaction is a white lie, which surprises myself. Maybe I should want to say that I came specifically to see Rin, even though that much must be obvious. You chose a bad day for shopping. Would you like some tea to warm you up? Thank you, but I'm fine, really. The weather could be better, though. Rain on the first day of vacation is a bit depressing. Ha 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 ha. Well, I'm sure it'll get better. Exactly. It could only get better. Namiya offers his hearty laughter, bordering on abrasive. Rain doesn't get you down, teacher. Well, I do prefer clear weather as well. I was actually leaving just now to meet someone, and I prefer not to get my jacket soaked. It's very expensive. But of course I'm in a good mood. What do you think about the exhibition? It was wonderful, wasn't it? Yeah, it was very fancy. My unenthusiastic answer only spurs him to carry on, walking around the gallery while babbling about the opening. He talks more and louder when he is moving. It's something I noticed at the art club meetings too. We got to talk with many good people and make valuable contacts. One of Suzuka's paintings even got sold to a collector from Osaka. I'll follow his eyes to an empty space in the wall. I can't even remember which painting was hanging on that spot. Well, it's gone now. I think it had like a person on it, but it was like a kind of a I was thinking of like abstract painting, but they're all abstract. But it had like a skull on it and everything like that. It was lucky that she was alright despite the dizzy spell. She got a little quiet though, so I told her to rest well. Then again, she's always been pretty shy. Shy? Whatever, I just nodded along with the teacher. The reception was very positive in general. I might be able to get one of my friends to write a little article in a magazine to... Shinichi, you're meeting. You're making Mr. Takahashi wait. Say's remark makes him stop in his tracks and check his watch. Namaya frowns displeasure at the interruption of his tirade. Alright, yes, well I'll be off. We'll meet in September, Nakai. Bye! Wow, teacher really doesn't hold back when it comes to Rin's budding artist career. I guess it takes a lot to succeed, but I suppose his job will be easier if Rin was more cooperative. She's too indecisive even though she's doing just fine. Like that dizzy spell from the night before. She just got freaked out or something. And I didn't do anything to help her. I thought you took her outside to get some fresh air. It feels like the gap between me and Rin is only widening. She's going to become something great while I'm still feeling like I'm bogged down. Like myself. Despite promising myself to try and make something of my life. On top of that, we had that fight, and the longer we keep not talking, the harder the wounds become to heal. If that even is what we want, I never found out what Rin felt, and I'm not sure what I feel myself. I wish I could understand her, but Rin is not very open for interpretation. Not that she's hiding anything. She just seems to defy my attempts at making sense of what she is talking about on any given day. Something on your mind? I realise I've been spacing out in the middle of the gallery for who knows how long. Nothing special. I pretend to study the closest paintings to distract her. I've seen it before. The now all too familiar strokes of colour. Yeah, there's yellows and oranges and greens on here. Mostly warm colours. Okay, twisting and melting to each other, seemingly random, still manage to feel like there is something happening behind the scenes, so to speak. Rin's style is so much like her, abstract, incomprehensible, colourful, mysterious. Only if to understand the artist one must understand art. I may have a question. Oh? She looks up from the magazine she was idly leafing through, seemingly delighted at my display of unspecified interest. How do you interpret art? What do you mean? Her eyebrows rise high into questioning art, as if the question was too complicated to even begin to answer without clarification. Sorry if I'm asking something stupid. I don't think I really understand art like the pros do. Oh, there's no trick to it. It's our own interpretation of art. Say waves my question away with a simple but efficient flick of her wrist. Everyone interprets art as they will, and interpretation is as much in the eye of the beholder as in the intentions of the creator. Pros have their own way because there is this thing called art theory. There are patterns in art just like in everything, and we assume that it's possible to draw some conclusions from observing those patterns. Her voice is like a teacher's lecturing and adding emphasis on random words to keep the listeners on their toes. In the end, I suppose it's pretty meaningless. She moves to musing seemingly to herself, muttering loud enough for me to clearly hear. A good piece of art will make you feel something, and that's all there is to it. Feelings change and they affect the art we create and the art we see. But I'll tell you a story. Do you have to? The last one was depressing. It's important, listen. About 100 years ago, a little-known painter got news that his friend, a man called Kazagimas. Okay, this happened while he was away and hadn't seen his friend for a while. So obviously he must have felt even more conflicted than you normally would after hearing of such a thing. For 4 years after that, our main character did nothing but monochromatic paintings because he was so deeply affected by the news. Whatever he did, he always kept returning to that same colour until it let him out of his grasp. She takes a little pause to check whether I'm still following. I am to an extent, so I give her the prompt that storytellers seem to live for. So? It's hard to continue from that, as I can't seem to come up with questions she wants me to come up with. Like a half-based Socrates. She thought she laid out all the tools for revelation in front of me. Don't you see the point yet? Only her shouldn't prove to be too dense to get it. She looks discontent at my slowness. Picasso's Blue Period is one of the most lauded in the history of art, but who knows what he felt when he worked on those masterpieces? Sadness, longing, regret. Nobody can tell. If you now see one of his Blue Period paintings, you probably interpret it differently from before you knew about Picasso's friend Casagamas. Experience in art is always personal, only interactive by chance or circumstances. There are a million explanations for any given piece of art, but it might be none of them are what the creator intended. No man is an island, you know. I nod without understanding what that last remark meant. Well, no man is an island means that no man is isolated from the world like an island is isolated from the rest of the world in a way. It's like Easter Island or any of the small islands that exist in the southern hemisphere, which is just by Antarctica or closest to Antarctica. What she said made sense otherwise, except for one thing. If art is communication like Rin said, but everyone is talking their own secret language like Sei said, what can anyone ever hope to communicate? It seems so futile and pointless. No. Art really is not a theme for me. Sei returns to her art magazine and I make a round in the gallery trying to see what Rin can see in her own paintings. A soothing mood takes hold of the gallery surrounded by the rainstorm. The big windows make the transparent isolation feel more comfortable. A tinkle of a bell disrupts the tranquil mood. And it's Rin. Rin pushes the door open with her shoulder and steps in. I'd almost forgotten that she was the reason why I came to the gallery in the first place. I think I'm ready. She pauses mid-sentence, noticing my presence. The needle-dropping silence lasts for exactly 1.5 seconds. Not enough for either me or Sei to open our mouths, but enough for Rin to react. I'm going for a walk. Heading back outside with a reckless pace of uncharacteristic of herself, Rin seems to forget that it's still raining. Without giving it any real thought, I grab my umbrella and hurry after her. I catch Rin around the corner, open the umbrella and lift it above the two of us while still having to almost run to keep up with her. She doesn't protest me running after her nor giving me her shelter against the rain, eventually slowing her pace down so I can manage it without an immediate danger or overexerting myself. I relax on the rush, assessing the situation. The last time I held my umbrella to guard both of us against the rain, I didn't think too much about it, but now all the things that happened since then are getting into a freezing cold ball around my stomach. Being close to her makes me uncomfortable. I feel myself flustering slightly. It's hard to get words out of my mouth, as it feels suddenly very, very dry. Still, it's not like I could back off. Why do you keep running away? I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. It hurts every time I do. Sometimes it can't be helped. I don't want to hurt. Fine, we don't have to talk. What should we do? Let's just keep walking. Just walking? Just walking. Okay. And this CG again, or slightly different, the background is probably a bit different. Our footsteps go splish splash in the shadow paddles forming on the streets as we walk through the rainfall. Rin, now walking beside me in her unhurried and relaxed manner, doesn't seem to be even a bit bothered by the fact that she is getting wet even though she didn't need to. She is particularly out of the protective shelter of my umbrella, despite it being more than big enough for the two of us. It's as if she doesn't even notice the rain drenching her shirt. Rin's demeanor always evokes mental images of meditative calm, even when she might be in inner turmoil. But I don't think it's meditation. It's just getting soaked in the rain. I wish I could be more calm too. I became too involved with Rin to retain my usual aloofness. It feels like I've become one of those people who fool themselves into thinking they are objective, only to find out they are the worst kind of liars. Illusions to fool ourselves. What better way to make one feel like a good person? It might be better to lose that illusion. I'll be going back home for some time, so I thought I'd come to see you before that. I could have thought of a better conversation opener, but Rin actually refusing to talk much makes it hard. That's good. I might have thought that you'd been kidnapped otherwise. You can't keep running away from everything. Not even from me trying to talk seriously. I'm always serious. Also, I seem to be running very slowly right now. Maybe I should take lessons from Emmy. It's futile, like talking to a brick wall that randomly spouts sarcastic nonsense back at you. Think of your exhibition opening. What if you had run away? Rin doesn't answer that. She just keeps walking, or running slowly, escaping from me and into silence. Her silence. She has a knack of being alone in company, I've noticed. We head down the street, then turn left, then 3 turns to the right, and then left again. It's like that night from some time ago. We keep choosing directions randomly because it doesn't matter where we are going. All that matters is walking and the sound of raindrops drumming against the umbrella. Water flows down from the roofs of the buildings and into the storm drains in wide rivers. Even though I try to step over them, my feet are getting wet from my shoes. We keep walking in silence that just begs to be broken again. I'm sure I am the only one feeling like this, though. Why did you have the exhibition? Rin just shrugs solemnly and looks in the other direction. I give up at this point. It's pointless. What did she want to accomplish? What she said at that night of the opening made me feel that there was something special she wanted. It felt to me that Rin hoped for something unattainable. She set the bar high and inside her own head she failed, no matter how much people liked her works. It's understandable to lack realism. Most people do, even if not quite on the extreme level Rin takes it to. But it's not a reason to live in your private world that accepts no visitors. You can't bend the world to fit your twisted, megalonic cosmology where everything works just like you want. That's what I think is an alternate timeline, or a world that exactly fits your individualistic conveniences. That's what frustrates me the most in Rin. She wants the world to live by her rules, disregarding everything that conflicts with those as irrelevant or unnecessary. I can't believe how anyone in Yamako could not have the bare minimum perception to understand that the world can sometimes be very unfair. I'm sure she's not the only one who wishes some things were different, but we can at least grasp the facts as they are. I take a sideways glance at Rin, who is looking up at our dome-shaped cover. It is a poor replacement for a real sky in its monochrome bleakness. The rain just keeps falling, just like the clouds today. Rin doesn't really give the feeling of wanting to be watched. She sulks, in unison with the sky that she loves so. I shouldn't have come. Her presence only reminds me of how angry I got because of those exact same reasons, and how those reasons probably can't ever change. Even though I want to say I'm sorry, even though I don't want us to break apart, I can't bring myself to say either of those things. We keep measuring the rain-drenched streets one step at a time. Often when you walk with someone else, your steps become synchronized as if through some weird subconscious pact. I notice that ours never do. And it stops for a bit. Time passes and the strikes against the drum skin of my umbrella fades as the clouds above slowly disperse to reveal a circling blue, cerulean blue. Eventually the rain yields enough for me to close the umbrella, shaking the excess water before I do. While I wrestle with the mechanism, Rin stops so abruptly that I take 5 steps before realizing that she's not with me anymore. Stupid umbrella seems to be jammed. Wow. Impassive face. And she's looking quite sad at Hisao. I wanted someone to say, I understand how you feel. Wouldn't that be great? Is that an answer to the question from before? I'm not sure. Yeah, but why is it so important? Because otherwise, I don't know if I could bear this. I was still in the middle of folding my umbrella, so I just answered something to get the conversation going. But what she says now freezes my blood. If someone says a joke and laughs, you laugh with them, right? Because a joy doubled is a joy tripled, right? Quadrupled. If someone is hurt and sad, you comfort and hug them, right? Because that way... She pauses, her mouth still halfway open, then remembers to close it. A gloom sets on her face and simultaneously on my heart. I don't know why the right words never come out. I don't know why I can laugh only when I make myself. I don't know why everything stays only inside me, even when it feels like I'm going to burst. Her flat, expressionless face doesn't waver even when she says that. Her usual steady voice becomes only slightly quieter than normal. But who? Who would ever want to feel like that? Rin looks at me and I imagine the sadness reflecting from her eyes. Whether it really is there or not, I don't. I don't want to feel like that. We stay silent for a little while after that. Rin because she said all she has to say at once. I because I have no clue how to process what she just said. I don't understand what Rin is saying, or I do, but I don't want to. For the first time both of these things happen, and it has to be simultaneously. The irony is not lost on me. I think everyone wants to be understood. That's universal. But that is impossible. Not only for me, but for anyone. Sei said so too. You affect other people and are affected by them, but in the end, you see everything the way only you do. All people are alone. We just use each other to alleviate that loneliness. I wonder why I put it like that. It just felt that what Sei told me rang true, as if I'd always thought like that without knowing it. It felt like she articulated my thoughts in clear, simple words in that stupid story about Picasso. Rin droops her head like a withering flower, letting her bangs fall in front of her eyes so that I can't see them. Why do you say that when you make me feel otherwise? Made me feel otherwise. It's unfair. The shaky voice that says those words do not belong to Rin. I really thought you could be different, but I wouldn't have to be alone. It's a bitter voice of disappointment, spoken through clenched teeth and a quivering chest. I'm sorry. If you are, why did you say something unfair like that? Her demanding tone invokes no particular feeling in me, apart from sadness that has really been there since yesterday evening. She doesn't intimidate me at all. Not anymore. Rin is not a prodigal art genius, nor an unpredictable idiot savant who could tear the logic lobe of my brain into shreds whenever she opened her mouth. She is just a girl that I thought I loved. A loved one who wanted to be my friend. A friend who'd I let down. I say that because saying otherwise would feel like lying. Why? Simple questions are the hardest ones. I have to close my eyes so I can focus my thoughts enough to answer her. I'm no artist. I can never be on the same level with you. There is a world only you can see, and to be a part of it, I would have to become you. That's something I can't do, no matter how much you wish me to. Rin takes in my explanation without batting an eyelash. I'm not a real artist either. I just paint because it makes me feel like I can really feel something. She holds her breath for a while before releasing it in a long sigh-like flow. That's why I'll do it. I have decided. I'll do it. Even if Hisao says that, then that's what I will do. Do what? Rin starting a little show that she has regressed into talking to herself again, but I'm glad I could snap her back even now. Teacher and Sei have talked with someone who is a very important person. I got a scholarship for a big art school in Tokyo. He said I could transfer there and start after the summer is over if I wanted to. I don't really get why. Hold on, what? Why didn't you tell? Why do you think? I just did. You were the first one I told because I decided just now. She keeps her cool, looking only mildly surprised at my shocked interjection. It's ridiculous how easily she could say something so life-changing. I can't believe it. After what happened in February, I have had enough change for this year. Even if things are going badly right now, I don't want everything to change. But what about Yamaku? Don't you want to graduate with everyone? My plea evokes no emotion. Everyone who? Emmy, me, everyone. I feel my pulse rising unnervingly, and my breathing becomes fast in shadow. I don't want this to happen. Their life is not mine. You just said that everyone is alone. I didn't mean it like that. You always said that when you have to seize the day and start living your life. I have to live my life too. Rin is twisting my words to justify running away again. It makes me angry. Her ease, finality, and seriousness in announcing this is unacceptable. As if changing your life is something you can do on a moment's whim. No. How can you say that? Why don't you even try to belong? The desperate accusation has no effect. It feels like I'm once again out of weapons, that I can't reach through to her no matter what I try. Rin is so frustratingly absolute in her own judgment that it might make me hate her if I don't love her, even though I don't know which way I'm feeling anymore. Maybe I am that kind of person, the kind that belongs only to herself. I won't accept that. Her non-Holland eyes do not seem to care whether I accept her decision or not. The pulse lets me cool down to find my sensibilities. While I do, the parting rain clouds reveal a setting sun that still has time to shine its last few warming rays before calling it a day. A mosaic of light and shadows spreads on the walls of the buildings, on the street, and the fence circling the park on the other side of the street. Rin's shadow is long enough to reach my feet. It's like one of those western movies, with two cowboys staring at each other, ready to sling their guns at each other. The one who loses his nerves will eat a lad. I realize I would have the disadvantage because the sun is behind Rin, steaming my eyes. Do you hate me? She draws first and I have no counter. I don't know. Did I lose? Even if I did, what would it matter? I scramble for words that could salvage this. I find none. You are my friend. I promise you that. I am not the kind of guy who forgets about promises. I think that is the most important thing. We could try to... Don't say it. What? Predicting what I was going to say, Rin throws herself into my arms, pressing her body against mine. I feel her rise to her tiptoes to match my height and snuggle closer. The scent of her hair is that of rain and paint thinner. Her body feels as cold as always. Her breathing against my neck is as hot as always. This is really unexpected because everything so far has been very negative and deep. It's funny how all of those feel so familiar even though Rin as a whole does not. Are you sure you can't hate me? Rin whispers into my ear so close I can feel the movements of her lips against my earlobe. It's teasing, taunting. If this was some other kind of situation, I'm sure it would tickle tantalizingly, and I'll giggle even though I'm a guy. It would be easier if you did. Dunno. It's pretty hard when you're hugging me like that. I wonder if it's because of my sullen voice, but she takes a step back, looking wistfully at her short arms. I wish she hadn't done that. I can't hug anyone, Hisao. I'm a bad person like that. You're not a bad person, Rin. Not having arms doesn't mean that you can't make the approach to hug. Like, making the right movements except for the arms coming round. Like, you can still use your head as a means to hug. Like, resting against someone's chest or their head. It still has the approach of a hug. That's why I have to go. She disarms me completely with 3 simple sentences, rendering me unable to argue anymore. And since I can't, Rin is free to continue as she wills, shifting her weight from one foot to the other before she does. I will learn to hug people in my own way. I'm sure I can become a real artist, but if I do, I might not be able to be me anymore. The hint of a smile on her lips is a betrayal, a false sign of self-confidence in a future that even Rin can't foresee. I want to interpret as a sign of hope, but I know better. Rin just keeps smiling that awkward forced smile of hers. That's why. Please forget about me, and I'll forget about you too. I'm sure that... She chokes in the middle of saying something I would never come to hear. I don't think I wanted to hear it anyway. This is not fair. Rin is not joking. Rin is always serious, but I can't accept it. I can't. Forget about you? How could I ever? That's what I would like to say, but I don't know how I would continue. I can't come up with anything good to say, so I have to challenge her. How can you say such a thing? Rin raises her eyes to meet mine. They are serious and deep. A perfect image of the uncharted territory I always thought they were. Even now I can't read her emotions from those unblinking jade irises that never could reflect what they saw. It's easy after all. I'm good at forgetting things. Her unfairness is choking my throat, but I manage to utter the question burning my mind. So is this it? Is this goodbye? Rin keeps looking at me gently, without asking my question. From her eyes I could see that she didn't need anything to say, didn't even need to say anything. There were no more words for us. She turned around and walked off without looking. All around me, the world kept changing, little by little, but I was left standing there. The sun dropped below the horizon, casting long and thin shadows across the streets. In the waning light, Rin's distancing back seemed to be like from a faraway dream. The gap between us grew slowly. The ripples of the puddles she stepped on expanded until they met the limits of their tiny existence and disappeared without a trace. Her words stayed frozen deep inside my heart. Wow. That was something, wasn't it now? But if you found someone like that, then what? Do you really think there would be some kind of be-all, end-all thing? Star-crossed lovers and happily ever after? My question is met with a blank stare, the darkness in her eyes unfazed by the thinly veiled bitterness. No, I don't think that. But at least then I wouldn't have to be alone. She whispers the words to the lights of the town, but I hear them anyway. I shouldn't have done this. Not yet. The exhibition? She nods and closes her eyes, breathing calmly out as if to prove she can, and then continues talking to herself. Why? Wrong conjuncture for planets? No, not that. I double-checked, and I got with the left, foot and did everything else left, right. It's me. I was wrong. She stands straight and stretches before stepping past me out into the street. Wait, where are you going? She stops in her tracks and turns around, looking at me quizzically. School. I'm leaving. What? Why? Because I want to be me. Rin walks off, leaving me behind utterly confused. Rin! But something she said really touched me. Or maybe it was the way she said it. Maybe it was the fact that she said it. I wanted to say something back to her, but I forget this thing again, sorry. As if granting me a wish, Rin stops in her tracks. She doesn't turn around, just keeps waiting for me to say what I want to, even though I didn't have time to think what. Rin, listen, I don't believe you have to be alone, even if you never meet anyone like that. I don't know if she heard my words either way. She doesn't react in any way. For the final time she starts walking away from the gallery. So, where's Tezuka? I can only shake my head. But as it doesn't seem to be a sufficient answer, I have to say something. She ran away. What? The horrific realization spreads on his face like wildfire. This is a fiasco. Catastrophe. What is that girl thinking? The most important event of her life and she just runs off? And you. Why didn't you stop her? I'm going to hold you personally responsible. Say interrupts him, holding her hands up calmly. It's good she intervened. The teacher is starting to get a few weird looks from the nearby guests. Now, Shinichi. She probably just had a stage fright. I don't know her as well as you people do, but I do get the image that she is somewhat peculiar. This kind of thing can happen. It'll be fine. I'll explain that Shio suddenly became ill. The guests will surely understand. But look around you. Everyone seems to be rather happy with their free wine and chit-chat. The guests will be fine, but we are missing on opportunities here. Networking, making contacts and acquaintances. As the adults keep arguing about something that can't be out, Emmy tugs my sleeve to get my attention. She doesn't look very happy either. Come on. Where? We are going to find Rin and kick her ass. What? I can't believe it. She is so stupid. That Rin, how can she do this? I'm telling you, she doesn't have a bit of common sense in her head. Rin is seriously angry, only missing steam rising from her ears. I guess I understand Emmy. She is that kind of person. Give up? She has never felt like a part of her vocabulary. And maybe she feels it shouldn't be a part of anyone's vocabulary. It's probably best to leave her alone for tonight. What? Are you a Rin expert now? She takes a firm stance and puts her hands on her hips confrontedly, I mean. It's like she wants to pick a fight with me too. No, I don't think that's even possible in the first place. I just don't think that kicking her ass would do her any good. My melancholic remark surprisingly works as Emma slumps her shoulders a little and sighs. I know that. You do? The last time I did that, it changed nothing. The ride back to school in an empty late-night bus is silent. Both of us keep staring at the lights flashing past the windows without saying a word. The nightly grounds are quiet, lit only by the wan moon and yellow lampposts. We say our goodbyes in front of my dormitory. Emmy reflexively clenches her fist, compels me to ensure that she won't assault Rin the moment I let her out of my sight. Promise me to not go scold her. She looks at me, her eyes again flaring with anger that I match with as calming a stare as I can. It's only easy to face an angry woman if you're not the target of her eerie. After a moment of a mismatched staring contest, she sighs and shakes her head in defeat. You are too nice, Hisao. Did you know that? Hints of a smile tugging the corners of her mouth as she says that, and she seems a lot more relaxed. What a sudden change of mood. Maybe she wasn't as angry as it seemed to begin with. Maybe her moods change easily. If I was, I wouldn't have let you have your way. Does that mean you are only nice to Rin? Both of us are hiding our concern behind empty jokes, but at least it puts me in a good mood. Emmy wiggles her eyebrows with a half-amused smirk, trying to push my button is not going to work. No, it just means I'm not only nice to you. Hey! Good night, Emmy. A sharp knock on the door interrupts the quiet but frantic mood for the last 50 minutes of the exam. Come in! Oh, hi there. The opening door reveals the art teacher, who steps in with his jacket swirling around him as though in a gust of wind. He glances at Muto, who glances back at him. We're in exam right now, you know, art teacher. A frown spreads simultaneously on both their faces, but men measure each other with their gazes. Excuse me, could I borrow Mr. Nakai for a moment? Excuse me, Mr. Nomaya, but we are in the middle of an exam here. A chilly atmosphere suddenly spreads in the middle of a summer afternoon as the two men try to stare each other down. This is urgent, and it seems that Nakai is already finished. Both men turn to look at me, staring at me like a pair of basilisks trying to petrify a tasty snack. It's true that I've been idling for a good while, so Nomi is right, but... Nakai, would you like to check your answers one more time? Muto speaks with an odd intonation, weighing certain words as if trying to send a message. The pressure from their stares makes me rapidly shake my head, which apparently interpreted as an answer of some sort. Very well, Nakai. Go, Mr. Nomaya, if you please. Take your bag with you and bring your test paper to my desk. You have a nice vacation. You too, teacher. The entire world, well, at least the classroom, seems to hold its breath just for me. Putting the exam on hold until I stand up, collect my stuff and walk to the door. I can feel the stares in the back of my neck. My classmates probably think I am in for some detention or something on the last day of the school before summer vacation. I don't know what the teacher wants from me, but I can guess it probably is not detention, and also it probably has something to do with Rin again. Nakai doesn't take me anywhere, containing himself with the hallway as is completely abandoned. Do you know where Tezuka is? So she is trying to avoid the teacher. Part of the course, probably. I wonder if she realizes that she can't avoid dealing with this infant indefinitely. I have no idea. You have probably asked in her homeroom next door. Of course I have. I searched every nook and cranny of this blasted school and the girl's dorm. You are the last one to see her since yesterday, and you and her friend. Work with me here. Aren't you worried? I am, but I don't know what I could do. Rin did something incomprehensible yesterday, even for her. She seemed really confused. Maybe she just wants some time to think. I got a feeling that she had second thoughts about having that exhibition. Or something. She really didn't explain what was wrong. What second thoughts? I don't know, just got the feeling. I am being a little dishonest with the teacher, but this is not something I should be meddling with. He came to me. Yes. Why? Maybe he thinks I'm some kind of confidant of Rin's, but I don't think I can help with this matter. The teacher huffs and scratches his head in confusion. What's up with that girl? This is so unlike her. She's always been so goal-driven. Goal-driven? Those don't really strike me as words to describe Rin with. To me, she always felt obsessive at best. I don't mean to be rude, but wasn't it you who pushed Rin to that direction in the first place? Her goal is my goal. That is a mentor's job. I guess so. I just don't know if painting can make her happy. That's pretty preposterous of you to say, Nakai. He suddenly sounds pretty irate. Did I say something stupid? You don't understand, do you? It is not a question of happiness. For every gain there is a sacrifice to be made. There is no free lunch. How could I? Would I let that girl waste away her talent if she had a moment of doubt? Never! Painting is work just like any other. Tezuka might make it look like child's play to you, but she works hard every day to make her art. To become extraordinary, one has to make an extraordinary effort. The more the teacher talks, the more I feel that Rin doesn't think like that, even though I have no idea how she thinks. I can very well understand why she would sacrifice a summer vacation, make up for the lost classes and exams to get a chance at showing her art. This is the path she has taken, and to go all the way, that's not easy. I know she is young, and the things are hard for her just like all of the kids here in this school, but that's no excuse. He is finished. But, do you have anything like what artist Tezuka? No. That's right, I have only vague ideas of my future. No goal to shoot for, no dream to blindly reach for. I joined the art club in search of something I could be interested in, to get inspired by. Did I find something like that? All I found in the end was Rin. No, I don't have a passion like that. Then you can't understand. His flat statement allows no counter-argument. But she might not understand even herself. Still, I carry on arguing, out of spite if for nothing else. How could she not? She's been at it so hard for the past few weeks that she put off even coming to school. Not to say anything about attending classes. Don't be ridiculous. I don't think I'm being ridiculous. But as I have no rebuttal, Nakai seems to consider this one his win. At any rate, the opening was quite successful despite Tezuka hardly showing up. Many people were interested in her work, and one piece was even sold for a reasonable price. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Yes, it's fantastic news. I hope that Tezuka would come to her senses when she heard about this, but... He sighs and takes off his glasses, cleaning them against his jacket before putting them on his nose again. At any rate, I should be going. There is this mess to be settled with Sei and everyone. If you see Tezuka, please ask her to come see me. Otherwise, have a nice vacation. Thanks. He was quite mean there. It's like somehow we're responsible for her disappearance and stuff like that. Like, no! She chose it herself. She wanted to risk pursuing this path, but in this scenario, it came out to be this conclusion. After he has disappeared around the corner, I ponder where Rin could really be. It feels like she has not one, but at least half a dozen of those secret places. A balance between the desire to solve this tangle and to drop it for good. The disused classroom is just a few feet away. What to do? As I push open the door, only the shadows greet me from the inside. Hey there. She's standing in the middle of the sunlit room, peering through the gaps of the curtains out into the yard. Like so often before, she doesn't start or jump, just calmly waits for me to make the first move. It's as if she is trying to become a permanent part of the furniture. The teacher is looking for you. A blank look over her shoulder is all I get, accompanied by a cryptic non-expression on her face. Are you looking for me too? Nah, I already found you, didn't I? Did you? She furrows her brow, looking so puzzled that it makes me wonder if the question was asked in all seriousness. Maybe it was. Are you talking metaphorically now? Do you mean like eels, caves, and dark stormy nights? I am bad at talking like that. The abruptly ended greetings give me the chance to close the door behind me and sit down on a dust-covered desktop. Rin stays standing, but at least she turns around. I soon wish she didn't though, so oppressive as her expectant stare. This is her place and I'm an intruder, although a tolerated one despite that. She still waits for me to say something. If I only knew what. The sunlit silence pressed me towards decisions. I came here without really thinking what I would do, apart from delivering Namaya's short message in case Rin was here. She was, and now I don't know what else I want to say. What else should I should say? I hover between my two options for a moment. Rin being troubled troubles me too. It's a surprising revelation, almost as big as realizing that she really is troubled was. Nothing I could do would probably help, but I might be partially to blame too. Does it mean I should just wash my hands for her? Didn't think so. So, what's wrong? Nothing. She starts to turn away again, as if trying to physically exit a conversation she doesn't want to have. Rin, stop trying to dodge me or I'll leave. Okay, do you want me to leave? Are you still angry? It took us, or was it only me, 10 seconds to swamp the conversation to this. I wish I could erase the part, or failing that, forget all about that. I wish for that more than once in the last few months. Let's put that aside for the time being, alright? If you say so. I do. So, what's wrong? Saying Namaya were not too happy that you just ran off yesterday. You left them in quite a pinch, and I suppose the teacher wants some kind of an explanation. It seemed like you just threw out everything you had worked for, and I don't get why. Did I make a mistake? My reply in her flat answer goes so much against the usual expectations and presumed interactions that it might just well be someone else talking. Neither of us is like we used to be. This stiff, constricting feeling I get every time I look at Rin nowadays seems to be mirrored in her own behaviour. I hate things that go irreparably wrong. Ever since February I hated them. What can I say? Her question is trailed by a compelling quizzically stare that makes me sigh and frown. Conversations nobody wants to have are the worst. I don't know. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it probably was pretty stupid. She responds with a sigh of her own, although hers is not nearly as heavy as mine was. I just couldn't do it. But why? What's wrong? A pause, a furrowed brow, a quiet voice. Let it be, Hisao. I don't think I could really explain it in a way that it would make sense. Yeah, Rin doesn't want to have this conversation either. That may be for the better. But how rare of her to admit that even she has some kind of limits. I always thought Rin was all but ignorant of her tenacity, or tendency to get distracted, so much that she inadvertently obfuscates everything she says. You never explain anything in a way that would make sense. Nobody else has ever asked me to. I guess that's how it is. But I always wanted to make sense of you, to find out who you are. I still want to, can't you see? I know you can't, but I do. Is that why I keep this up? It pains you as much as it pains me. It's unlikely to be of any use to either. We did things and said things that can't be undone. It's as if you and me being close to each other just hurts both of us, but we still deliberately keep doing it. Isn't that silly? Even now I can see how you force yourself to respond even though you owe me nothing. Even if it's hard to talk about things like this. Why? Why is it that you paint? Because I don't know what else I could do. It's like this thing that there's no choice. That's the only possibility. By whom? Yourself. Like when there are only watermelon flavoured popsicles left in the store, but you need to eat a popsicle. Her poor metaphor aside, she didn't really answer anything. If possible, this makes even less sense than not knowing. But if you don't want to paint, not like that. You had to come to this school even though you probably didn't want to have a heart attack. She pauses, throwing as if something in what she said didn't please her. At least I think it wouldn't. Her careful follow-up is followed in turn by another, shorter pause with another, smaller frown. Nobody would want that, Rin. Nobody in their sanity would want that. No, I wouldn't, and I didn't want to. But you're doing fine, aren't you? Or are you still sad about it? Rin's question makes me realise I haven't really thought about my illness for weeks. Aside from chugging down my medication every day, there has been no need to concern myself with my broken heart, which I'm only thankful for, really. Getting to know new people, a new school, a new town, a new life. It all has caught me and made the past fade away. Sorry about that. No. I guess even I can't dwell on the past indefinitely. See? Even watermelon don't really taste bad if you have to eat it. Her half-nonsensical closure seems to put an end to the subject in Rin's mind, so I just nod in uncertain confirmation. There are two kinds of silences. Awkward ones that you want to break, and comfortable ones that you don't mind. The first kind is bad, but makes your thoughts go away like mine do now. Looking at Rin makes me feel bad. I don't want to feel like this. Looking at Rin makes me feel exhausted. I really tried my best. She tried to. I have no idea. But we end up like this. And she ended up screwing up her exhibition opening. It feels like we're at a dead end. But there's no direction to continue to. I reached out for her yesterday thinking it would be the last time. She walked away. I want to be me. What the heck does it even mean? Rin, if anyone, is most definitely herself. I feel kind of relieved that I'm not the one to blame, but this still grates on my mind. Why did she run away? It didn't make sense yesterday. It didn't make sense today. The things she said feel like they should make sense, but they just don't. To me. You know, about the thing you just said. Which one of them? Painting. Say you said something like that to me before, that a true artist does not paint because she wants to, but because she must. And I've been wondering about what she said. Why do artists have to paint? My question is probably pretty stupid. At least Rin looks at me in the blank way that it seems to say so. I don't know. Am I an artist? Anyone can be an artist, in their own ways. Well, you paint stuff and you have an exhibition too. I'd say you qualify. I think I still don't know, but okay. The thinking pause that follows seems to last for half an eternity. Unlike most people, Rin doesn't flavour her thinking pauses by her body language, or saying like, or anything like that. I've noticed I might prefer her way. The usual way even annoys me, as if people were so infatuated by the sound of their own voice. They just have to keep making some noise, even when we are just thinking what they could say next. Rin just comes to a full stop while she is thinking. It's disconcerting, because reacting to people spacing out is always hard, but she comes off as less obnoxious. I think I want someone to see what's inside me, not the way doctors and serial killers do. Yeah, I see what that is. The way that doesn't make me feel lonely. This is what you call metaphorical, you see. Please don't lecture me about self-evident things. It's not self-evident that this is self-evident. So you present a painting to someone and expect him to magically see a glimpse of your soul. It's not like that. It's just a little like that, but not really. Don't you understand? I do and I don't. You know, I feel a little bit of despair every time you ask that question. What question? About whether I understand you or not. She seems almost surprised at my clarification. Oh, it's not really a question. It's one of those kind that you don't have to answer. Rhetorical. Yeah, that's the word. A question that is not a question is a rhetorical question. How nice. That reminds me, it doesn't really make sense. What kind of question, well, what kind of a question is one that isn't a question? A rhetorical one. What kind of an answer is an answer that doesn't answer anything? Is that a rhetorical question? You are not funny. But if you don't like it, would you like me to say something else instead? I don't have any good ones though. How about your pants are on fire? No, how does that even make any sense at this situation? This can be our secret language. Rin's honest to goodness silliness, made twice more ridiculous by the fact I know she is dead serious, derails me like it always does. It's like some kind of a safety lock to prevent me from becoming too much of a worrywart, dragging even my own thoughts off the ground where they should be. It makes me smile confusedly, but only on the inside. Even though the corners of my mouth are not drawn into a grin, I'm still impressed by her ease of wrecking any attempt at being too serious. Could she should also forget and ignore things that bug her, things that bother her? Could should she will so be free of whatever burden being her means? Or am I the only one who feels burdened by being myself? No thanks. But still, the times when I feel I am on the same page as you are pretty rare. It feels like there's this huge gap and sometimes you just go to the other side and I don't have any way to reach you from where I am. It's like you are in some completely different place at times, even though you are right here. That's right. There is an insurmountable discontinuity, an imaginary glass wall that blocks comprehension from happening. There might be such a gap between any two people, but with Rin, it feels more tangible. Rin does not react to my thoughts, not to the ones I uttered aloud, nor the ones I did not. It's even worse with art. I'm not very good at art, I admit it. I joined the art club because I thought it could be interesting, and I guess it is. I like art. I like your art too. But just like with you, I can't comprehend it, and I'm pretty sure nobody really can. This seems to worry her slightly. Do you think so? Yeah, I guess that art is meant to be interpreted, not understood. That's how I'd put it. That's a sad thought. Why? I guess it might feel like one. Does that make you feel sad for yourself? Rin thinks about this for a while, and then shakes her head surprisingly vehemently. The first thing she focuses her eyes on afterward is me. Both of these things make me glad and relieved. That's good, isn't it? Anyway, you should go see the teacher and apologize properly. I think he is worried about you. Can you do that? This time she nods her head. Only, it's not as vehement. The hallway is empty, almost intimidating. Namaya's office is the art classroom at the other end of the third hallway. Our steps echo disturbingly. The atmosphere is unlike on a normal afternoon. It feels like the school knows that nobody will be coming back for a month too. The door is open, but not very inviting. Wait outside. Nodding barely noticeably, Rin strides in without stopping, and naturally without knocking. Yeah, the word naturally is accurate. Maybe that's why it takes a few seconds before I hear the teacher's voice from inside. There you are. Hello. A conflict arises. Should I stay here or go somewhere else? I'm not sure if I even want to eavesdrop on them. Manners lose to curiosity, and so I stay close enough to listen in. Their voices echo in the hallway, but no matter. There's nobody around save for me. Dear girl, what on earth were you thinking, leaving like that on a big night? I couldn't say anything. Compared to Namiya's scolding tone, Rin sounds awfully quiet and withdrawn. Her words seem to drown under his. I have to say, I am very disappointed in you, Tezuka. It was no good at all. Never mind all the things I did for you, but what about Sei? What about all the guests who wanted to meet you? There was nobody, even Hisao. You've embarrassed us very badly, Tezuka. Reputation is what counts. Surely you know that. It's alright. I don't need it. Don't need? What do you think you know? Rin replies only seemed to agitate the teacher more, his voice rising with every sentence. The path of an artist is a thorny one. I'll tell you that. Thorny. You have to see the big picture. There will be bad times and good times. Things are like they are. It'll be right even. You might now think that is oh so wonderful and easy. But how far would you have gotten without me? I won't always be there for you. When you lie on the floor in your minuscule room, your rent 3 weeks late, your mind blank for the 4th week straight, then you wish you'd listened to old Namiya a bit more. When you keep measuring how the shadow of your chair becomes longer over the spring because that's all your lethargy allows. Maybe that's when you will start caring about your career. That doesn't matter. Your resolve is not enough. I am not a resolved person. You are not a resolved person. Then tell me, why? Why did we go through all this trouble if it amounts to a mosquitoes? Oh damn, the teacher blew a fuse. Him yelling at Rin makes me feel bystander's guilt. If I'd gone with her, maybe he wouldn't have gotten so angry. If I had not let her run away, he wouldn't have gotten angry in the first place. I still could go and save her. I don't think I can. I was the same. I yelled at Rin too, and I feel all the more embarrassed about it now. I felt justified to vent my anger at her face just because I felt it was her fault that I was so frustrated. I was no more justified than the teacher is. A terrible silence sits upon the hallway. Rin does not have anything to say to Namiya. Whether she has run out of answers or she knows that arguing would only make him angrier is anyone's guess. The teacher has nothing more to say either, it seems, or maybe he just ran out of breath. For a moment, I imagine the two of them just staring at each other, one full of red-hot anger, the other full of... yes, what? I can't tell how Rin feels. Not before, not now. Teacher seems to expect Rin to say something too, but since she doesn't, he finally continues in a quieter but not less angry voice. What worth is there in doing so much work if the outcome is... nothing? Still, Rin will not say anything. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten so excited. He does not sound sorry at all. Rather, his tone is cold and sharp, like he was spitting the words out of his mouth. It seems that I was expecting too much. You're not an artist after all. Yeah, not sorry at all. He storms out of the cloakroom and down the stairs without noticing me. After he has gone, I peek carefully inside the classroom. Rin is left standing there, in front of the teacher's desk. I couldn't say I am sorry. Well, the teacher was to blame. She says it in a humoured air of the classroom, not to me. But since the room won't answer her, I will have to. That was unfair of him. He was angry, but still. I can't decide how to end my sentence. Disdaining the teacher feels like disdaining my own behaviour from 2 days ago. Stupid but correct in hindsight. Rin won't answer, staying petrified where she stands, so I walk up to her. She stood up for herself. In a way I didn't expect that. I can't determine whether it's unbecoming or not, but either way, she did it. Against me she never did. I sort of wish she did. Maybe I would not feel this bad then. Lately it really seems that I've been wishing for all kinds of things. Rin? Go away. What are you saying? You're angry with me too, right? I thought you were my friend. I thought he was too. Her voice is unlike I've ever heard it. It's bitter, sharp like needles, and she keeps staring pointedly at her toes. I don't think it's about that. He wants you to be something you are not, and... Aha! She's caught on now. I take a deep breath and finally catch her eyes in my own, locking our gaze. I'm sorry. I wanted us to be something else too. More than friends. Maybe that's why I couldn't contain myself and became so frustrated, just like the teacher did. What more? There's nothing more to me than me. That's all I am. I don't understand that. Well, the answer should be obvious, right? I remember myself thinking of the purpose of friendship, to put up with everything and anything to be there for your friend. Did I fail as a friend, thinking it could be a stepping stone for something else? Maybe because of those thoughts, I didn't manage to put up with things, to keep it together. As outrageous Rin is and was, I shouldn't have let myself get caught into that, especially when I started feeling the way I did towards her. So did I fail? That's what I seem to ask. I'm sorry, Rin. I might not be able to be your friend. I don't think I could ever be a good friend to you. I say these things because they are true, not because one of us would like to hear them, but they are something that must be said. The finality of my words creates a shaking silence, for what could either of us add to that? Why did all of this happen? People are doing things I don't ask for and don't want, and everyone keeps getting angry at me. I have no idea what is going on anymore and can't stop feeling like I want to run away from everything. She shuts her eyes tight and breathes out deeply, calmly. When the eyelids open, all I can see is dark green desperation. I have no idea what's wrong with me. We all feel like this at times, actually. We don't know what is troubling us, but we know that something is troubling us. But it's getting that answer out which is the most difficult thing. Her frantic outburst stupefies me for a moment, and for a heartbeat we just gaze in each other's faces. Seeing her confused eyes desperately looking for answers from mine, only makes me sad, because I know I have none. I don't know either. But you know, you yourself said that things are not right nor wrong. They just are. You either accept them, work to change them, or give up. It's not that I hate you, or that teacher Nomaya does. I just think that I'm a kind of person who gives up when he feels he can't go on. And even if you hate it, this is how things are. I'm saying pretty cruel things, but I can't stop myself. The words keep rolling off my tongue with slow, hard certainty. I can see them hitting Rin almost like physical blows. As the witness gathers into the corner of her eyes, they are still wide with a shock of rejection. As the tears start rolling down her pale cheeks, she does nothing to stop them. Wow. As they fall down on the floor one by one, she stands still, staring at me with a gaze full of hollow disbelief. But reality catches up. Wow. That's quite emotional in a way, actually. That is truly emotional. Just seeing somebody in full despair. Rin slumps forward as if she was deflating, and buries her face as deep in my shirt as she can. Rin is heavy and feather-light when I support her weight. She doesn't really sob or bawl, just leans against me, letting her tears burn through my shirt into the skin underneath. And I let her, bring my head around her shoulders in a clumsy hug that does no good to comfort her. I feel Rin's vertebrae against my fingertips, like hard and jagged reminders of how messed up things are. Her slim shoulder quivering against my palm is a pitiable sight, and the hopelessness of being part of the cause that of Rin's sadness keeps shredding my heart. To make a girl cry is the most despisable thing to do. Even Rin, especially Rin, behind that veil of aloofness, Rin is just a human being too. And you didn't think of that earlier? Just as confused, scared, and lost as any of us is. Most of the time it seems that there is no rhyme or reason for what Rin does and says, but for once, I think I really understand how she feels, but no words can express it, and no words can make it better. So wordlessly we stay, quietly waiting for her tears to run out. Time passes agonizingly slow. Even the lazy specks of dust floating in the air seem to pause into a standstill. The obligatory wall clock is ticking distractingly from above the door. I decide against counting the seconds, because it will make them feel longer. Even eventually steers a little and, still smothering herself against my chest, mutters into my shirt. Let me be here for a while. Please, Hisao. Just give me a little while. A soothing deluge spreads into my consciousness, the knowledge that while being here for Rin is all I could do for her. That's all she wants right now, even after all we've gone through. Sure, she stays there, but I still can't bring myself to draw her closer so I could embrace her properly. It's because doing it would just make me feel so sad I don't know if I could bear it. The realization that we might never really be able to become what we want to be for the other crystallized into my mind as a diamond-hard enlightenment. A pain surges through my heart like an electric shock. It's painful. This clarity hurts. What can we be for each other? What meaning is there for us to desperately cling to each other even though it seems so futile? What should I say to Rin? How could I make her feel better? I did not know any of those things, and I fear knowing them would only hurt more. Forcibly I push all of that out of my mind because I don't know to be thinking of hurtful truths. My thoughts calm down soon enough. The sadness disperses until all that is left is me and Rin and the tender feeling of her warmth and softness against my cheek. When did I fall in love with her? I can't remember, but I'm certain it was way before the warmth touch of her lips of my own, on that orange-coloured afternoon when she was sick with cold and I went to see her because of unclear reasons. Her carefree attitude, the air of otherness around her, all the things that make Rin herself, those things captured me with an irresistible force. The way she could take in everything and anything, giving it only the value she herself placed, weighing all things fairly and without prejudice, seeing the world as she wanted. This is something I could never do, and Rin was probably more of a muse to me than anything ever was to her. She seemed so free to me, truly a free spirit, while I, constantly worrying about everything, seemed so inhabited it was almost embarrassing. Is this a revelation for yourself, my man? Maybe that's why I latched so tightly onto Rin, trying to get inside her world that was so different from my own bleak life. Before I noticed it, that irresistible force had pulled me dangerously close to her, but it turned out to be way too alien for me, and I'd forgotten Newton too. Of all things, the gravitational force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the objects, so two people feel something for each other, even though things are not governed by the constants of the universe. I can't help thinking that for some time now, I've been a satellite to Rin's brightly shining planet, Planet Rin. The thought makes me almost laugh. She really does seem to be from another planet at times, minus green skin and possibly some tentacles. Okay, my man. Perhaps because of my stifled laughter, Rin pulls away and I let her go, feeling the cold when her warmth goes away and slight embarrassment for letting my thoughts run wild like that. I credit that as Rin being a bad influence on me, while being glad at the same time that she can't read thoughts for real. Rin's bitter tears have dried up, and she looks a little more like herself again. The lost look in her eyes is still there though. Her gaze wanders around restlessly before stopping at me. What happened just now? Can you tell me? What? What do you mean? I cried. She says that hesitantly, as if not believing in herself. Yes, you did. But crying is not a bad thing to do. She keeps staring at me, as if pleading guidance that she wouldn't have to feel so lost. Why? You are sad. Is that what you want me to say? But isn't that obvious? I don't know. It feels weird to cry. What? I don't believe it. I mean, everyone does that. It's not... I bite my tongue before I finish my argument about normality. Exactly. Norms do not apply to the person I'm talking to. It always felt so wrong. Different from what it is in me. Like I couldn't really tell what I felt. So I started thinking that maybe I don't know what I'm feeling. Maybe it's me who is wrong. I thought those kind of things. I thought that painting was enough because it felt that I did at least that I did at least that right. That all that is inside me could become a picture if I tried really hard, and it could. But it doesn't feel like it's enough anymore, because if nobody else can see that, I will still be alone. Was it wrong to try? Everyone got really angry at me for that. It wasn't wrong to try. It definitely was not wrong to try. I rarely heard Rin say this much at once before. Once she finishes, she simply shuts up, looking so neutral that it's hard to believe she just said what she said. I don't know what to think. Rin was desperate for someone to look at her paintings, and somehow see right through them into her soul, to understand her feelings, because she felt she could not express them in any other way. How could one say whether that is right or wrong? Could it be all of this time she's been trying to reach out to me like I've tried to reach out to her? I sit down on the desk to think. I had to rest my legs that kept both of us standing for a long while. You know, when I read a good book or look at a starry sky or whatever, sometimes I too feel something profound, like I don't know how to describe it, an epiphany? But the instant I try to put it into words, I feel that I lose something. It doesn't feel as real, as true as it did inside my head. It feels a bit phony. Damn, even what I just said felt phony. Often a smile that is meant to be between funny and self-deprecating, but Rin doesn't react. Anyway, it might be that nobody can ever express their true feelings so that others understand. Reality has no chance of living up to what someone has inside their head. Nothing can match that, not even your paintings, except maybe for you. But I suppose you can't keep everything inside, you'd explode for real then. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think it's wrong to express your feelings, even if you use painting as your conduit. You just can't expect people to understand you any better than they would if you did it any other way. In fact, you can't expect people to understand you at all. It's because everything is so subjective. You see the world the way you do, but it's different from everyone else. But isn't that terrible? No, it's not terrible, because you're an individual, just like me, just like Hisao, just like you watching right now. I guess it is in a way. She frowns, looking probably as stricken as she can, which is not much, but it's enough for me to understand that Rin is not particularly happy. I think it might make me sad after all. Yeah, I know. I wish I could do something to help it. I don't think I sound better even though I am a little. This is my problem. I cannot be what Rin wants for her, and for the same reason, she can't do the same for me either. She makes a difficult face, carefully trying to pick the words she wants to say. So Rin has times when it's hard to say anything too. It can't be helped, I think. But if you say that, it makes me feel a little better. It's funny how some seemingly irrelevant things are the most significant ones at times like this. Like how Rin's voice is very, very small, barely audible when she says that. And how even her short bangs can cover her eyes when she looks downwards. And she's blushing too. And how they can't cover the deep red colour rising her cheeks and all the way to the tip of her ears. They turn into a very interesting shade of red. A deafening silence follows. It's very awkward, as if I saw something that wasn't meant to be seen, even if it wasn't on purpose. I don't know what to say to that, but I keep feeling like I should know. She doesn't either. Still, it feels like there is no momentum to lose even if we keep silence. Like we have some weird, wordless connection that would hold even so. Rin keeps shifting her weight from one foot to the other restlessly, looking everywhere around the room except at me. She is the one who finally breaks the spell. Can we go? I don't want to stay here. Oh yeah, of course. Where? My reply is covering my nervousness as badly as her question is covering hers. You could go wherever you like. I want to sleep. I've already slept for a few weeks. It feels like there is a flock of light butterflies inside my head. It makes it hard to think properly. The kind that you think is too blue to really exist. Okay, we're just going to skip past that one entirely. She shakes her head and I almost expect a couple of ultramarine coloured morpheos to pop out of her ears. A small smile tugs upon the corners of her mouth. That reminds me, the blue. Oh, for goodness sakes. The word for a flock of butterflies is a swarm. I looked it up. Yes, swarm of insects. That makes my eyes rise into a questioning arc. Why don't you use it then? I like the other word better. What, a flock? That's a flock. That's a herd or a flock. Why look it up in the first place then? Then you should use it, right? She nods and falls silent, her gaze escaping mine to the side, attracted by the dark orange sunlight refracting from the windows. We stay like that for a little while, me silently looking at her silently looking out of the window. Hey, you alright now? She glances at me from the corner of her eyes, looking wistful again. The sunlight's reflection doesn't betray any more of her inner feelings. I need to think about that. I wanted to continue this conversation, grasping at those straws that she finally revealed to even exist. But Rin is looking out of the window so absent-mindedly that I know she won't be responsive in any way that would make sense. Is that some kind of defensive mechanism of hers to avoid being sensible? Her mind is like a butterfly in itself. I almost read that as sensitive, I'm not going to lie, folks. Always fluttering somewhere, anyway. Somewhere away, wherever it stirred. Just when I thought I could see behind her veil, she jumps out of my reach again. Maybe that's just how Rin is. Maybe that's something I should just accept to get some peace of mind. Okay, I'll walk you back to the dorms then. Thanks. Really. The empty hallways of a school devoid of its students and teachers feel very lonely. Less than 1 hour after the school summer vacation began, the building seems to be deserted, and all that intrudes on the stillness of the hallways of our footsteps. The change is sudden, but it shows how the building is just an empty shell, dead without students and teachers. It's as though the school has become a private world for only the two of us, a desolate place filled with silence and chalk dust. I think I have to change. She says it out of the blue while we walk down the staircase from the 3rd floor, still managing to feel like she is mirroring what I was thinking just before. That's what people must do sometimes. That's the last thing we say to each other that day, even though there would be so much to talk about. And even those words drawn in the all-encompassing silence, disappearing into the stagnant air as if they were never said. The next day spawns then, and I guess that the teacher is still just as furious as he was yesterday. Like, he was furious before seeing Rin, and furious at seeing Rin at present, for goodness sakes. And this is definitely the first day of summer vacation, because of the same weather as it was the last time round. The first day of summer vacation is a disappointment. I woke up, water came down from the leaden sky in biblical proportions. I was optimistic at the time. A quick summer shower, I thought. Torrents of rain for a few minutes, then it's gone. No such luck. Rainwater was relentlessly pouring down from the blue-grey sky outside, streaming down the glass of my window in small brooks and rivers and gathering together to form miniature ponds on the walkways, just like it has done for the past 2.5 hours. So I've been half hours cleaning up in between half hours reading a book, pecking my stuff from the side. I got bored of the first two. The weather drags my spirits pretty down too, making it hard to do anything properly. Something bumping quite loudly against my door rouses me from my apathy. Hope it's not Kenji in his crazy indoors bowling alley. I hear no more sounds from the corridor until I walk to the door and open it. Hello, Rin. I wish seeing her would evoke some more emotion in me. But for one, I'm too surprised that she would come to see me, and for two, she is soaking wet. Her uniform shirt is drenched, and she is standing in a self-created puddle. Droplets of rainwater are dripping from her short bangs and slide down her nose until they fall down from the tip, one by one. Hi? How are you feeling? Medium normal. That sounds like what you would ask if you're ordering a beefsteak. The relative questionability of her statement aside, she sure doesn't look too good. You're all wet. It's because I came from the outside. Do you know it? Why'd you be outside? It's raining buckets out there if you haven't noticed. I haven't. It's raining pretty hard though. I was on a walk. It's not what you call willowing and self-pity. Do you think I'm pitiful? No, implied that you think you are. I'm not, and the rain is not a sad thing. Don't you ever walk in the rain? I do, but only with proper equipment like an umbrella or a coat. You just need to imagine you have a blue umbrella with white stripes. You're talking about somebody's you know what again, don't you now? It might be tough when rain is falling on my head. Just imagine harder. Imagination. Yeah, she's definitely is back to normal. Those half sarcastic, inconsiderate remarks that really push my buttons even though she doesn't mean it. That vacant space out there that always expects more than it gives. It's so very much like her. I may need to come in. I need some help with this watering clothes I'm wearing. Yeah. My brain quickly solves this equation. I stumble with my words. A stark display of contrast against Rin's easygoing self-invitation. But, Emmy... Rin shakes her head vehemently, causing water to sprinkle everywhere. She left. Besides, she would just worry and fuss until she could not worry or fuss anymore, which always takes a troublesomely long time. It's in fact longer than I want to hear her fussing, and I thought you probably are not the fussing kind. She slumps down on my desk with a squishy sound. Her soaked clothes are making the desk and everything on it wet, but she doesn't care. Okay, fine, I'll help you out. I have a towel somewhere. Do you want dry clothes? Is a uniform fine? I'm taller than you, but everything is fine. Everything is fine. With a little searching, I find a fresh uniform, a fluffy towel from the depths of my closet. The towel in one hand and uniform in the other. I turn to face Rin again, uncertain of the next step. There is something wrong with me. A normal guy just... Stop worrying, this is not a problem. She probably could see right through my hesitant demeanour, as if I was completely transparent. I push my anxiety away and concentrate on the 8 buttons lined her shirt, just like mine was. Only the first button is an obstacle. After getting into it, I undo the others with slightly less shaking hands. Throwing the soaked shirt aside, I reveal Rin's... Okay, shouted owning her light... Okay, which instantly reminds me of her saying her favourite colour. I'm trying not to think too much about stuff, but it's hard not to look at... Yep, with what I can think is mixed feelings. I don't know what to think of this, so I just watch her. Rin looks brittle. She is like a shell, a fragile thing just barely holding together. Her ribs, each of them visible under her pale skin, are moving up and down in the rhythms of her breaths. Rin has always struck me as quite thin, but I realise now that the manic creative period before the exhibition opening might have caused her to lose weight. Did she eat properly and enough? Definitely not, and probably not. It's ugly, yet beautiful bare minimum of a human body that belongs to someone I care about is a contradiction of aesthetics in itself, oddly becoming of her. My eyes follow her collarbone to her shoulder and down her arm until the abrupt end. No, it's less than the bare minimum. I think with a passing pain of sadness and some guilt for thinking. She stopped talking too, and we ran out of spiky greetings. I guess there is no need for chit-chat then. I pick up a towel from the bed and wrap it around her head, rumpling it all over her hair until most of the rainwater is hopefully soaked into the fabric. She peeks from below the towel at me, looking up with impassive eyes. It looks like she wants to say something without saying it. It's that kind of look, but I can't read what she is thinking about from her face. She'll just keep focusing on fussing with the towel around her shoulders and hair. The silence is oppressive, terrifying. Communication between us has suddenly been reduced to the movements of my hands and the towel, and Rin swaying her body to and fro. My jagged breathing and her quiet breaths, trying to find a common rhythm that just is not there. I think I could hear her heartbeats, or maybe they're just mine redoubled. As I brush a rogue strand of her hair aside from her ear, Rin suddenly presses her cheek against the back of my hand. The contact is electric, a jolt of current surging through me. When she seeks comfort, warmth, or just my touch, I wouldn't know, but I can't help touching her back, caressing her soft cheek with my hand. And with closed eyes, wow, she kisses me on the fingers, counting the joints with her lips. I am saddened beyond my expressive capability. Here we are, a boy and girl, both in love or something like that with each other, or maybe not, and yet something is broken. I can feel it in me and in Rin, in the way our gazes merely blush against each other, shying away from contact, in her closed, timid posture, and in my way of touching her like a china doll, afraid of shattering her delicate form. I didn't mean to press off the screen there again. In how we are closer than we have ever been, yet I'm not feeling happy. It's like yesterday. When did tenderness and forlornness become one and the same? Acts of affection start invoking only longing. How? Why do we end up like this? No, don't answer that. I like to say to myself, but fight against the omniscience of self-awareness as a lost cause. Still, I am here, and Rin is here, and it feels like she might be able to solve whatever problems she has. And if she can, why couldn't I? Why couldn't we? It feels like taking that step is too much, too difficult, too uncertain. So for now, all I can do is dry her up so she wouldn't catch a cold again. I pat her head, trying to sort out the hair that refused to be sorted out even when wet. A pair of dark glazed eyes follows my every movement. Pants too? She nods an answer, leans back and with a grotesquely inviting gesture that makes a nasty feeling crawl up and down my spine like a bad premonition. It's not enough to sober me though, as the sight has started to make me feel detached from myself. I move automatically without thinking, even though I should. I should talk to her about this, or at least about something. Besides the spell, a pact that has bonded us to this private world made of the dull sound of rainfall and the soft feel of her skin against my fingers. The bottom of her trousers is fastened tight but opens surprisingly easily. Slipping off is hard, mostly because she is sitting on them, with no intention to stand up to ease my task. Present, I had to skip through all that part, I'm sorry folks, but it's just a bit too much skin for YouTube. Present is a fleeting and vague concept at best, the moment between the past and the future. The current, but doesn't really mean anything. Thinking too much about things that doesn't make sense is a waste of time. That's why living through the present is always the best option. Besides, for us who can't foresee the future and who forget the past too easily, present is really the only proof of our existence. Even though existence will only go on even if you forget about it for a while, it's good to seize the day at least every once in a while. That way, you can confirm that you are, in fact, alive. Yes. Yes, in the present you are alive. In the future, you might be alive. In the past, you definitely was alive. And I'm pretty sure that the girl is standing there, staring out of the window of my room, has a much better grasp of present than I do. As for me, well, Right now I'm somewhat confused by my present state, since I should try to locate my shirt and not... Damn it, man. But I just can't stop... She is so close to the glass, her nose is probably going to leave a mark. At least her breathing does, which it condescends on the rain-cooled window glass before quickly disappearing again. My shuffling around to get dressed doesn't rouse Rin from her contemplation, which is fine really. I don't mind the silence as much as I used to. Only after I'm almost finished with buttoning up my shirt does Rin say something, still without turning to look at me, sorry. Let's go somewhere. Where? I can only assume she's invited me and not the windowsill, but it's a fair guess. I know. What? What exactly, Rin? Help me get dressed. I think today is the day. Come on, clothes. Clothes? Clothes? What an impatient tone. I crouched down to pick up from the floor where I'd fallen, discarding the haste of undressed and forgotten that. Hanging it from between my fingers like a dead fist, the same hesitation that grasped me when I was undressing Rin is creeping inside my head again. Is intimacy really something that's difficult for me to handle? Come on, you got off just fine. But it's the same but the other way around. It's like talking backwards. It really is not wards back. Seems hard, but it's easy. Shut up, you. Perplexed by her sudden and prodigious display of mental processing capacity, I forget to attempt reversing her gibberish back. I'm pretty sure I couldn't switch to talking backwards that fluidly even with some practice. Could you repeat that? Seems hard, but it's easy. Got it? Fine, I'll give it a try. Rin was right. The locking mechanism is simple enough. I only get the little plastic hooks right on the third attempt. There. Now you have to adjust it. What? Please stop that. I don't speak backwardies. She shakes her head as if needing to banish the backwards way of thinking with a physical gesture. I know a few people who could benefit from that kind of ability. I got stuck. Now you have to adjust it. Adjust? That's what I said. No, I asked what you meant. You know, so that they are fine. What are fine? Oh, fine, what you say? Is that an idea? Yeah, exactly. I end up fumbling around. I just without getting anywhere. Not that I would complain, but Rin does. Emmy is better than this. Why do you think there's a huge discrepancy between Hisao and Emmy? Her impatient tone ticks me off, even though I can't really disagree. Rin suddenly seems to be in an awful hurry. Well, yeah, well, excuse me. Could that be because she is a girl and can actually relate? I don't think so. She has just about as... There's nothing wrong with flat chest, by the way. The bra and breast eventually fine, as they should. The rest of her clothes are considerably easy to put on. Rin launches towards the door even though her shirt's not buttoned up all the way yet. Left with no choice, I run after her. As soon as I realise we are heading for the side entrance leading to the forest, I think I know where Rin wants to go, although I couldn't say why she wanted to go there. Then again, I can't really assume my guess is to be anywhere near correct when Rin is concerned, naming for a quite generous definition of correct. The forest behind the walls smells of rain. The last raindrops are still dripping from the wet undergrowth into the earth despite the rain being gone for a while already. We stroll along with an unhurried pace that Rin sets, giving me time to take in the calming atmosphere. I think I can hear Rin saying hello to at least 3 different trees while she walks past and by ignore it, just like the trees do. She leads me to the narrow side path leading up to the hilltops, as I guessed. I peek through the canopy trying to find a rainbow, but there doesn't seem to be one. It's perfect weather for rainbows. The sun is shining low and rain has passed not too long ago. Well, whatever. I lower my eyes from the treetops to see the grunt back of the girl who is climbing up the hill slowly, without losing her balance. A few steps ahead of me on the path, but still within my reach. I don't think I ever could reach a rainbow, but Rin, it seems less impossible than it used to seem. The clear sky greeting us from above the meadow clearly seems vast and beautiful. A strong wind is herding the rain clouds away from the town, to the other side of the mountains in the distance. The sight is pretty, but a speckle of white flies past the edge of my peripheral vision, but when I turn to look, it's already gone. Another follows, then a third, before I realise dozens of almost invisible small tufts of white are flying all around us. Look, the flowers! Ah, I see it now. The sea of dandelions that covered the hilltop on our last visit have changed over the days. Where there was bright yellow before, there is now fluffy white. Some of the flowers have already shed their seeds, but many are still waiting for a suitable gust of wind. Today those gusts are not in short demand. Every now and then they shake the grass thoroughly, and suddenly the air is thick with dandelions. One by one, the seeds separate from the flower heads and are lifted away. A commonplace event, but one that seems to fascinate Rin for some reason. What reason could that be? She's turning her head from side to side, marvelling at the change happening all around her as the seeds fly away. I wish I could stop clicking off the screen. I watch them too, following the white tufts following with the wind towards the horizon, and imagining I could see them even after they disappear from my sight. Hisao, what is it? Do you love me? Ah, now she's asking that question. I snapped to attention to meet her suddenly very serious face, so it's not only looking at the flowers anymore. What a tough question. Asked just like that out of the blue. Still, her bluntness compels me to answer rapidly. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe too rapidly. What does that mean? I don't know. Rin sighs, perhaps unhappy with my wishy-washy answer. I would be too. Me neither. I don't think I know much about love. Do we all know a huge amount about it? It's fine, isn't it? How should I know? The shrug of her shoulders seemed to say, hesitated to give a firmer answer. She stays silent for only a second too long. But even that second isn't long enough for me to think ahead. Wow, really? Like, are the words feeling empty, or is this for real? Those three words freeze me in place like a rabbit staring into headlights. But I'm not a rabbit, and I'm just staring into Rin's eyes that seem far, far too impassive for what she just let out of her mouth. Rin looks pretty serious though, until she sticks out her tongue, frowns a little, and confuses me even more than her words did. Why she looked mildly unhappy? Was it a confession of her deepest feelings? A test to see how I would react? A test to see how she would react? It tastes weird. Tastes? Yeah, so weird. But what is the taste itself? She laughs, maybe nervously or so I want to think, but stops midway when she notices how strange it sounds. Like, I don't know what I don't think there is a word for this. Rin keeps on talking as though there was no meaning behind her words, steady and careless words dropping from the same tongue that formed the more important ones. A word for, except, it's like she can't find the words. Rin just keeps staring at me, stumbling by words as if her brain has suddenly gone mush to a halt. She looks awfully confused, much like how I feel right now as I wait for her to explain, but she doesn't. She just blinks a few times, the flutter of her long lashes catching my fancy. Oh, that makes sense actually, because she looks like she is petrified otherwise. Until I realised what they were fighting against. It's those weird tears again, not associated with sadness or happiness, not pitiable sobbing or laughter of joy, just tears, spontaneously and without warning, like that one time in her classroom. Just a few of them, not enough to make a fuss about, but Rin doesn't make a move to hide them even after noticing. Rin cries, Looks like she has no idea why, and somehow a great uneasiness grows in my chest when I look into her watery eyes that stares right back at me. It petrifies me too, the shock of the incomprehensibility of the situation. I just don't know what is happening anymore. Rin, what's wrong? Oh my gosh, she's crying again. She shakes her head in confusion, stumbling to get the words out of her mouth. Sorry, I might be a little afraid of you. The words are muttered slowly, with a small voice that is as disbelieving of what it's saying as I am. What? Why? I don't know. Saying that just made me feel like that. People cry when they're afraid, right? See? I can do it too. She's averting her gaze now, deliberately not looking at me. It bewilders me, at least as much as what she is saying. I sometimes, with you, want to run away so badly that I can't move. It's like my legs turn to lemon piano cotta pudding, and my heart feels like it's going to explode and... She slumps her shoulders melancholically. Has a thing like this ever happened to you? I remembered the laden sky above the frozen forest and the sound of the leafless branches clacking against each other. It's like a memory from another life. Yeah, once. My heart hurt a lot back then too. But I thought your thing was not contagious. I shake my head and a tiny, slightly forced smile raises on my lips. The other ailment of my heart could very well be contagious and I wouldn't care a bit. What are you afraid of? I never thought I was scary. Rin shakes her head desperately, as if knowing that the tangle inside her mind won't be undone with just that. You make me feel that I should be someone else than me. It's a scary thing. It happens when you're being nice to me, like yesterday. I never know what to do at times like that. It's hard. Her voice is barely audible, a whispered emission of something that is too embarrassing to even think, not to mention say aloud. Rin has never been one to be embarrassed, so she does utter it aloud, only typically as if by instinct. But I want to do something, but I don't know if this me can. For a moment we just stare at each other as if waiting for the other to say something. You are so stupid. Rin's lips taste salty and scared against mine. Uh-oh. As I gasp her into an embrace, I feel my heart thumping in my chest painfully. Even though I'm glad that she could say things like that made me sad after all, Rin's spirit, her passion, her strength, all those things that I hold dear are the ones I don't want to change. How should I treat them? Where are they headed to? Is that future irrevocably different from mine? The anxiety will never loose its grip on my heart, but I think I can learn to live with it. Slowly, the pain in my heart dies out, and it settles into the same rhythm as Rin's. We listen to that for some time. After our lips break apart, it takes a while for either of us to realize that we can say something now. Ah, the redness, see? You are a really kind person, even when you are not. It's the most scariest thing ever. I think that all I was ever afraid of is your kindness. Is it bad, even if you are afraid? She thinks about this for a while, furrowing her brow as though there was some kind of hard math problem. No, I'm alright with it. It's fine, if it's you. Like a weight lifted off my chest, her words elate my heart, filling it with, I don't know, happiness? What else could it be? This time my smile is genuine. Rin steps back, still smiling gently at me like I do at her. While she wipes her face on her shoulder, I pick up a round, plump dandelion clock and bring it to my pursed lips. Poof! They spread out into the wind that picks up to carry them to a new home. To think, only a few short weeks ago they were so different. This is change. Hey, so the flowers became what they meant to be, like you said the last time. What about you? Did you become a true artist? Or did you not because you ran away? She pauses for a while to ponder my question, and shrugs her shoulders. It almost makes me laugh. The carefree easiness of her gesture is a lovely thing. A sign of how Rin can truly and really, without any restraints whatsoever, shed the entire weight of the world from her shoulders. Should she will so. She is, in every possible and probably a few impossible ways, free. And I think I might love her for that. I don't think it matters. Let's just watch the clouds for today. That's a good idea. Ah, lovely. She takes 5 steps to climb on a large rock so she can rise as high as it's possible here and stand on the treetops. That is a lovely sight to behold. You know, just the sunset sky with a wonderful person. When you reach the clouds, every inch counts. Sure, let's watch the clouds. It's good to do something you really want to do every now and then. Yeah, you are probably right. I glance upwards at the blue sky opening high above us. It's a deep, serene vastness that spreads to fill my entire field of vision and beyond. Yet Rin stays on her rock, peering at a distant horizon where the rain clouds are drifting further away from us. I have decided something. That dreaming voice of hers, spoken to the wind that carries it to my ears, is lacking resolve in tone but is full of its meaning. It's alright to be me after all. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's alright. Her decisions always seem to be pretty far out. Well, I suppose that is an important realization. Coming to terms with oneself, accepting yourself, being fine with what you are. A simple resolution of heart that for some people is overbearingly hard to do so, if not impossible. I do realize well enough that I might be also one of those people. Rin too. Maybe we're not that different after all. Maybe to accept someone else, you must first accept yourself. Because if you can't accept yourself, then how can you break out of your own shell in a way as to look at somebody else, spend time with them for a long period of time, and then get some realization to accept them as well, no matter their shortcomings. Maybe that is a necessary step, which we didn't take until now. Looking at standing on that rock, I believe that she can find whatever she is looking for, and so can I. The wind catches her hair in close, and Rin spreads her short arms into an embrace that is so very, very tiny, but as wide as she could do ever, and ever, and ever. For a moment it looks like she herself might take flight, and I have to hold myself back to not reach for her shoulders, to not drag her back to me. But this picture is something I can only watch. It is something for me to remember. Rin's sleeves are flapping freely in the wind, her hair wildly tousled by it, her skin touched by the setting sun, her sleek form that I've come to adore is quivering in the cool wind that carries the small white specks past her, each a beginning of a new flower. All that is engraved inside my heart. Like those tiny seeds scattered into the wind, I'm sure that Rin too can take her place in this world without the need to create her own inside of it. Maybe she believes it too, and standing as close to heaven as possible, she is giving the world a big hug. To me, it seems like the entire world really could fit there, between those small arms of hers, inside of her all-encompassing embrace. Hisao, ah, that's a nice little tone right there. I look at this thinking, oh my gosh, every time a thumbnail potential. She looks at me in the same way she calls my name, carelessly over her shoulder with a strange happiness in her voice and her eyes. I gaze into those mysteriously dark eyes that are curiously twinkling from behind her burned hair. Although I'm too far from her to see it, I'm sure they are reflecting my image. What is it? What's the word for when it feels inside your heart that everything in the world is alright? Content. I think that word could be called content, when you're alright with everything in life. And that is Rin's route for the game. I'm pretty sure there are some dialogue changes if you go for all of the options, but I'm pretty sure... Why is the... Aha, that's why. Little animation stuff there. But that in itself is Rin's route, in a nutshell. Like, there probably could be some other, like, CGs if we go through the different options of the game, but I feel like that will always go to those, like, 3 options. Oh, gosh, Rin there. Oh, good one, let us do something like that. Being behold behind, so by such things and stuff like that. Like, it's, like, so not, it's, Rin's a difficult person to understand, but I think in a way, that definitely was the happy ending of Rin's route. Like, the other one was kind of a neutral parting for both of them. The first one we covered was definitely a bad one, because it literally was, well, Hisao has had enough of Rin being this kind of object that she can just please and push around as she would like to do so. But obviously Rin doesn't see it as that, but that's the only thing that she knows. Oh, extras? Extras? Okay, jukebox, gallery, library, cinema. Okay, so I imagine that all of the different animations that are played. So this is the beginning of the game, and that is when we entered Rin's route. So 1, 2, 3, 4 missing. Okay, so the other animations must be the other characters' entrances to their route. So say library. So 33%. So these obviously would have some kind of divergences depending on the choices that you make. What about Rin? So, okay, so there are other things that can happen. So like in Act 3 there's one of a choice here which happens if you select other past choices. But I'm not going to try and cover that particular scenario because I want to move on to another character's route at some point. And I feel like this is how it goes. Aside Shizune, which I would imagine some people are quite sad because there isn't a Misha route in the game, which would be perfectly possible if that was the case. Shizune is the anomaly here, but if there was a Misha route in the game, then you could look at these routes as pairings. So Hanako and Lily would be one pairing, Emi and Rin would be another pairing, and Shizune in this case is the anomaly. But we would obviously be spending more time with Misha as well as Shizune in this regard. But it's really interesting, fascinating to see. So, what about the gallery? Okay, so it's got 9 pages. Question mark? Oh, it's got different 17 further images not unlocked. Okay, so that's like a miscellaneous item sort of thing. 8, 7. I wonder why this one is so far in. Like, this one was covered quite early. Like, in a way, I thought, like, these events should unlock chronologically. Let's see. 6. This is, like, Rin's route, I believe. And from what I've heard from friends of mine who've already played this game, like, Rin's route is, like, the hardest one to get to. Because, like, the requirements for it are very hard to acquire. It's like you have to reject the others, but at the same time not reject them to the point of entering a bad end with Kenji on the rooftop there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else there is within the game, and that is when we are going to be exploring Emi's route in the next time, because I feel like these routes are kind of like pairings in a way, where if you pursue Rin's route, if you pursue Rin's route, then it follows quite closely towards Emi's route, but you have to make some different decisions. And I think that decision falls down to whether or not you go full out when you're running alongside Emi, or you just take it easy. And taking it easy, I think, locks you into definitely Rin's route, but also quite possibly as well Lily's and Hawanako's route in a way. But anyways, folks, This video has gone on for long enough. I've been recording this video for over 3 hours now, and I'm sorry that this video is really long, but I wanted to put all of Rin's endings into one video in itself. And I'm hoping for you guys that have watched all the way through, thank you so much, and we shall see each other the next time. We'll be covering Emi's route. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.